Ladies and gentlemen, it is Tuesday, October 14th, 2025. This is the Owen Report, and here's what's coming up today. You know, we're pretty loaded. We're pretty loaded on a quick turnaround day today, actually. We're going to hear from Speaker Mike Johnson. I don't know, maybe I'll play him talking. But the Republicans are complaining, and they're complaining about things that they are in total control of. They're complaining about the lack of justice. They're complaining about the lack of the left-wing terrorists being arrested. They're complaining about the government remaining shut down. They're complaining about not being able to get to the floor and get votes. They're complaining about all of these new left-wing initiations and left-wing funds that they've discovered. And I'm just sitting here saying, you guys control the White House, the House of Representatives, and the Senate. What are you doing? What are you complaining about? If you want to blame the shutdown on the Democrats, fine. It's a political football game. Nobody cares about it. It doesn't work outside of D.C. I don't want to hear about this crap anymore. Either do something about it or shut up or shut down. We'll stick with the shutdown. So we're going to hear more from D.C., a very busy day in D.C. President Trump having a cabinet meeting today, making some news headlines there. It would appear that within the hour, we're going to have President Trump awarding Charlie Kirk the Medal of Freedom posthumously. We may pick up that coverage live for you. And then let's see, though, as the shutdown is ongoing, what are the Democrats up to? What are the Democrats up to as the shutdown is ongoing? And the irony of this Letitia James story, did you hear the new ripple in this one? Yeah. Wait till you hear this one today. Big updates on the geopolitical front dealing with Ukraine and Russia. In fact, there might be some news breaking even right now with the Ukraine and Russia situation. Zelensky is anticipated to be visiting President Trump in D.C. later this month. And now Trump is weighing Patriot missiles and Tomahawk missiles. He was really going heavy on Putin today. So there's a development there. And then the big one. It seems about 24 hours after the peace deal was signed, how's it looking? Not so good? Not so good. Already having some issues. Some of the same issues, some new issues. We will be looking at that. But it's not good. And then, of course, the issues remain here domestically as far as the political culture is concerned. With some big news breaking on that front that I've been warning about for a long time, and they didn't want to listen. You know, the establishment, right? They never want to listen to us, do they? They never want to listen to us until it's too late. And then they join us, but by then it's too late. You know, like stealing an election. You know, that type stuff, like not shutting down the country or wearing a mask or taking a vaccine. You know, that stuff. And then we got some other cultural odds and ends for you today as well. But when they go live from the White House, I do anticipate we will pick up some of that coverage, as Trump will be awarding Charlie Kirk the Medal of Freedom. So, all of that and more coming up for you today on the Owen Report.
This news update was brought to you by OwenSchroyer.store, the official site for Owen Report merchandise.
It's funny, Mike, Speaker Johnson, it's funny to see you complaining today about wasteful spending in Washington, D.C. No, it's funny, all right. Yeah. Yeah, it's hilarious. That's for sure. Let's see. Wasteful spending in D.C. Who would you address that to? Do we have a chain of command here? Trying to figure this out. I've got some spending issues in Washington, D.C. I've got some issues with the spending. Who's in charge of that? Oh, that's right. That's the Speaker of the House. That's the House of Representatives. That's who controls the purse. So that would be the Republicans, and that would be Speaker Mike Johnson. That's right. So House Speaker Mike Johnson is complaining today about wasteful spending on D.C., which, of course, he, as the Speaker of the House, is in charge of. It's amazing. Really is amazing. And I got a whole list here of the things that Speaker Johnson is complaining about. I don't know if I can bear to play. I don't know if I can bear to play this. I'm so sick of these phonies. I'm so sick of these cowards. I'm so sick of these spineless, squish, fake conservatives, fake patriots. I'm sick of them. And why? Why is it? Whenever we seem to get somebody in there that's the real deal, doesn't mean with you agree with everything that they say, doesn't mean maybe you agree with their tactics or their approach or their tone even. But it's like, this is a fighter, this is a patriot, this is a fearless individual. These are the types of people we need. And then what happens? They always get run out of town. Here's somebody that does it the right way. And then what does DC do? Get him the hell out of here. Elon Musk, perfect example. Where was Speaker Johnson fighting for Elon Musk? Oh, Mike Johnson loved running around with Elon Musk when it was cool. When Speaker Johnson needed some popularity points, when the dweeb of the House, Speaker Johnson, Dweeb Johnson, when he needed some popularity points, he was making sure to be in every picture, every video, any opportunity he had to be next to Elon Musk, behind Elon Musk, in Elon Musk's pocket, wherever he could be, anywhere near Elon Musk, he was going to be there. He was cool. I'm with Elon. And then we had Doge, and we were celebrating this concept, the Department of Government Efficiency. Incredible. We might eliminate wasteful spending, and we were watching it day by day, minute by minute, hour by hour. We sat there and we watched Doge compile list after list with receipt after receipt on all these budget items that were ludicrous, ridiculous. You'd never heard of such things. Shrimp on treadmills, gay llamas, homosexual comic books. And we said, this is outrageous. It must be stopped. Thank you, Elon Musk. Thank you, Doge. And then how long did that last? About 30 days. I guess it was officially 90 days. And then as soon as that buzzer hit zero, they made sure they got Elon Musk the hell out of there. Get the hell out of here, Elon. Like, oh, I'm sorry. I thought you wanted to do government savings. I thought we were doing good work here at Doge. Yeah, well, we didn't mean it. We just needed your money to win. We just needed your influence to win. Now that we're actually here, we don't do anything. What? I know you're new to this, Mr. Musk. I know you're new to this, and because of your status and wealth and influence, you kind of got to take the shortcut and just get right to the top of the heap, huh? I know. Yeah. This is how it works, though. We don't actually care in D.C. No, we pretend to. We pretend to every other year when there's an election. But after that, we don't give a damn, Mr. Musk. You see? That's how things really work. But don't worry, as we push you aside, Mr. Musk, you were trying to save the country hundreds of billions of dollars. We're going to go ahead and push you aside. And now that there's this new vacancy in here, why don't we go ahead and bring in Mark Levin. That's the kind of people, that's who we're looking for. Somebody that wants to use the United States of America to bomb all of his personal enemies. He's got his trauma-based mind control. He's got his trauma-based schizophrenia. So we need Levin in there managing and influencing Trump to make sure that Levin's issues, Levin's personal issues, Levin's political issues, and the foreign country that he's loyal to, we need to make sure these things are handled. We don't want Doge. We don't want the guy that's building rockets that land. What are you, nuts? We want Mickey Mouse on laughing gas, Mark Levin. We want never Trumper, I will never vote for Trump, Mark Levin. We want not a single Muslim should even exist on the face of the planet, Mark Levin. That's who we want, Mr. Musk. Bye. So here comes Mike Johnson today. He's got an issue. Look at what Mike Johnson discovered. And they're playing this game of the government shutdown. Okay, all right. Play your little game. Nobody's buying it. Nobody cares. You do this to us pretty much every administration, and depending on the levers of power, they're the finger pointing and everything. None of them care. They're all on vacation. They're all schmoozing. They're all on yachts and in mansions. Oh, yeah. No, that's not just a baseless claim here, folks. They literally are. But we'll get to that. We'll get to that. No. Here's what Mike Johnson has an issue with today. He says that the bill, $500 million to liberal news outlets, $24.6 million for climate resilience in Honduras, $13.4 million for civic engagement in Zimbabwe, $3.9 million for LGBTQI democracy grants in the Western Balkans, $2.9 million for desert locust risk reduction in Africa, $2 million for organizing for feminist democracy principles in Africa. So they do this thing, and the Democrats shove that in as if the Republicans haven't voted for that 99 out of 100 times. As if the Republicans didn't have the chance to put an end to all of this with Doge. And this was what we were told was going to happen, by the way. The Department of Government Efficiency would go through the books. They'd find anywhere between $500 billion and $1 trillion, maybe even upwards of $2 trillion of waste, fraud, and abuse that they were going to save. And then they were going to be doing forensic investigations into where the money was going and who was making these exchanges, who was making these policies. And none of it happened. We got like maybe 30, what was the number? Like 30 billion Doge savings? I think when it was all said and done, like 30 billion. And here come the Democrats again wanting another 40 billion for all of their little tricks, all of their little gimmicks. And then Mike Johnson wants to come here and say, golly gee, don't you see the Democrats are at it again? Nobody's buying it, Mike. You look like a peewee player. You look like a bush leaguer. You look like a dweeb. Where are the investigations, Mike? Where are the audits, Mike? I don't want to hear you. I don't want to hear from you, Mike. I don't want to hear about the wasteful government spending. I don't want to hear about the Democrat pet projects. You guys could have shut all of this down. And you could have tracked and traced every dollar. And you could have arrested money launderers, criminals that stole our money. And you loved being around Elon Musk until you didn't. Oh, boy. And now Mike Johnson wants to point the finger and say, see, look at what they do. Mike, you would get every single Republican to sign this bill tomorrow if it helped you out politically. You're not fooling anybody. Every single Republican, if they could vote on this bill and go back on vacation and it didn't hurt them politically, every single one would vote for it. The only reason you're bringing this up is so that you can blame the shutdown on the Democrats. That's it. But most people don't care about a shutdown. They want a shutdown. It's a big joke. So here's how they screw you. This is how they screw you, folks. And I pulled this from the Young Americans for Liberty. By the way, great group. Great group. And you know, it's funny. I didn't even think about getting into this. The Young Americans for Liberty probably ought to be a little more popular, but they don't have the big funding, if you catch my drift. Here's how they screw you. This is an incomplete list from the Young Americans for Liberty of how we, the American taxpayer, get strangled by our government, robbed by our government. Federal income tax, state income tax, capital gains tax, Social Security tax, property tax, Medicare tax, self-employment tax, sales tax, excise tax, luxury tax, estate tax, inheritance tax, gift tax, lodging tax, and now the tariffs. So on average, you're paying 4 to 5 taxes a day, a transaction. And then they turn around and they tell you, they need money to study shrimp in Africa, or women's principles and appointments in North Africa. Or we need to fund this media operation, so we need to raise your taxes. And this is how they screw us. And you know what a real conservative would be doing? You know what a real principled conservative American patriot would be doing? They'd be cutting the taxes. That's what they'd be doing. They talk a lot about it. They sure do talk a lot about it. But they don't do anything. Now, here's what the Democrats are up to. Senate Democrats ripped for holding luxury fundraising retreat during shutdown. That's nice. It's nice to be a Democrat, you know? It's very nice. Yeah, they're running a candidate who wished death on children. That's who they're running. Which, by the way, I see all the Republicans. God, Republicans are just so predictable. I mean, so are Democrats, but it's like the Republicans are kind of like now the new leftists. Like the loyalists, the right-wing loyalists are the new leftists. It's the new woke right. They're almost intolerable. But we all know it. We all see what it is. Democrats are on a fundraising retreat. They're there right now. They're in California wine country. They are in the Napa Valley. It's an event for Democrats to schmooze it up during the shutdown. I mean, they don't give a damn. They don't give a damn. There's not enough air traffic controllers, they tell you as they sip their port, as they sip their red, as they ask their sommelier for a wine suggestion. Yeah, what is your wine of the evening? This is your Congress. A bunch of clowns, a bunch of bums. It's pathetic, man. And then I'm going to sit here, oh my gosh, look at what the Democrats are doing. Yeah, we were going to put an end to it. You did nothing. You did nothing. Now you just complain at us. You just complain at us. Must be nice, though. And now they're complaining because in Arizona, they have the Democrat voters. Arizona, a big swing state. Arizona, a state that most Republicans assume that the Democrats are stealing with massive election fraud. And it would seem that way. How Arizona goes blue, I don't know. It's a very red state, traditionally a red state. You go there, the culture is conservative. But okay, somehow the Democrats win it. It's like you can't even find a Democrat in the state, but they keep winning elections. By the way, how's all that going, by the way? How confident are you right now that our elections are safe and effective and efficient? You feel confident about that? Are you any more confident about that than you were? Now, Trump did do that executive order, which should help, and maybe some of the redistricting will help. No, the Arizona Democrats are upset because the shutdown is now affecting food stamps, and the federal government is about to run out of money. And so you won't be able to get your food stamps. You won't be able to eat. Now, this is why the politicos in D.C. and the Republicans just don't get it. They just don't get it. And they think as long as we have a House majority and a Senate majority in the White House, then we really don't have to do anything, which is ironic, but that's the mentality. That's the philosophy. So they have this idea, the Republicans have this idea in their head that all we have to do is blame the shutdown on Chuck Schumer. That's all we have to do is just say it's the Schumer shutdown and people will understand. It's the exact opposite. It is the exact opposite. Do you really think the average American is politically informed enough to understand the complexities or lack thereof of a government shutdown and how it happens and why it happens, or any of the details in this specific shutdown? Do you really believe the average American knows anything about that? More specifically, do you really believe, to the Republican in Washington, D.C., to the right-wing think tanks and politicos that like to pretend they're influencing conservative culture out of D.C., do you really think that the Democrat voter that's on food stamps has any idea what is going on in D.C. or why the government is shut down, or who Chuck Schumer even is? Are you really going to tell me you believe that with a straight face? Are you really going to look at America and say, this is good political strategy because the Democrats are shutting the government down so we can blame them for all the bad stuff that happens? Right. The people that are getting food stamps in Arizona are really following politics. They really are. They really know the ins and outs of D.C. They definitely could identify Chuck Schumer out of a crowd and Mike Johnson out of a crowd. Yep, totally how it works, guys. Yeah, you Republicans in D.C., you got it all figured out. Of course. Of course the Democrat voter on food stamps in Arizona knows everything that goes on in D.C. in the political world. I mean, God, duh. No, you know what they think? They think it's you. They think it's you. You know why? Because the Republicans are in charge. They think it's you shutting the government down, which is not the loss you think it is, by the way. Most people are pro shutdown, or at least the idea, the concept. They don't know what it is, but it sounds nice. So it really is not the loss that you think it is. But they don't know that. They just know Trump is the president and that he's with the Republicans and that the Republicans are in power. So the government shutdown, they're going to blame on you. When they can't go get their food stamps, they're not going to blame the Democrats. And you want to know the real evidence that proves I'm right? You want to know how I know that I am 100% right on this issue? Because who is in D.C. today trying to convince the American people whose fault the shutdown is? Is that the Democrats or is that Mike Johnson? No, the Democrats are schmoozing. The Democrats are on the beach. The Democrats are in Napa Valley. They're sipping on wine. Pelosi's on bottle number 3. What time is it right now? It's 1:30 in California. Pelosi just popped bottle number 3. If the Democrats really thought that they were going to get stuck with the blame for the shutdown, do you think they'd be whining and dining right now and schmoozing in luxury apartments and luxury hotels? Or would they be in D.C. trying to convince the American people that it's the Republicans' fault? No, that's what Mike Johnson is doing. The Democrats already know that their dumb voters are going to blame the Republicans who are in power, so they're schmoozing. And Johnson's up here. It's like, what are we doing? I don't understand this. I see the big right-wing pundits. I see the big right-wing commentators, right? You know? And they're like screaming at the left, right? They're like, they've positioned themselves to just be directly aimed at the left right now. All the big voices, it's here, the Democrats, the left, it's all of this stuff. And I'm sitting here and I'm watching this. I'm like, what are you doing? You're basically screaming into a black hole. You're screaming into the abyss. You're screaming into oblivion. Why are you yelling at the left? They have nothing. You should be yelling at the right. We're supposed to be in power. We won the White House, the House, the Senate. What are you doing? Why are you screaming at leftists? They have nothing. I see them all day long. Mom Donnie. He's the mayor of New York. She's going to be the mayor of New York City. It's like, what are you doing? It's time to do an about face and look at the Republican leadership and start screaming. That's how you're going to get stuff done. You're not going to get anything done. You will get nothing done in this administration by screaming at the left. Nothing. Zero, zilch, nada. The only chance you have to get something done that benefits America in this administration is by turning around and screaming at the right wing. But see, that's not how the D.C. political world works. Once you're in power, that's all that matters. You don't need to get results. You just need to win. And then they have this little gatekeeping community that decides who gets to go to the events and who gets to get big at everything else. And then anybody who really wants to shake things up and anybody who really wants to get things done and anybody who might dare, after you win an election, anybody who might dare to actually hold the politicians' feet to the fire, they don't want anything to do with you. They don't like that. They like it. They're all nice and comfortable in their little political bubble. And then when nothing gets done in 4 years and the Democrats take back power, they throw their hands in the air. They say, how could this happen? How did we let this happen? You let it happen. You always let it happen. You're letting it happen right now. So I see these people, they're screaming at all the left issues, all these liberals, everything. Turn around, okay? Turn around and start screaming at the Republicans. They're the ones in power. And, you know, I realize a lot of stuff as you watch things develop and you just really zoom in and start to look at stuff. And you know, what's a big talking point right now? The big divisive talking point, the big fork in the road right now in conservative politics, right-wing politics, it's Israel. And a lot of the stuff that gets assumed is at least somewhat based in reality as far as AIPAC is concerned and Israel's control over our foreign policy via hook or crook, however it goes. That's all very real. But see, there's something missing from this conversation. And it hits me. It hits me as I'm watching the, you know, conservative Inc. establishment right permanently aimed at the left, which has 0% effectiveness right now. And I'm sitting here watching them just scream into the void. And I'm like, okay, this is why nothing gets done. And the only time they ever aim right is when somebody comes out and says, hey, I actually expect our politicians to do something. Then all of a sudden they'll come after you. They won't ever go after the politicians, but they'll come after you. And so it hit me. It hit me as I'm watching this and watching President Trump work and knowing how kind of some of the things go down behind the scenes. And it hit me. Do you know why? Do you know why Israel is getting all the priority right now? Do you know why President Trump and this administration is prioritizing all the Israel issues first? Do you know why? Sure. It's AIPAC and it's big donors like the Adelsons and yeah, they're the things that you normally talk about and Netanyahu's influence and access. That's all real, but that's actually only half the picture. That's only half the picture. And it hit me watching all of this stuff develop in the last 48 hours, let's say. And it hit me. The reason why Trump and this administration is prioritizing the Israel issues is because those are the only people that are getting access and asking him to do it. Nobody on the right wing is getting access to Trump and demanding that things get done that were promised to the American people. All of them are being gate kept out, or all of them are too cowardly to do it, or they don't want to lose their access, or they're too comfortable in their little position in right-wing politics that they're not going to do it. So Trump's just up here working. He's not hearing it. He doesn't hear people complaining that there's no Doge. He doesn't hear people complaining about there's no Epstein list. He just sees the crap in the media and then has a bad PR response to it. He's not seeing this stuff. All he's getting is every single day somebody is calling him, begging him, release the hostages, calling him, begging him, do something for Israel, do something for every single day he's hearing this. Nonstop. It's always getting access. It's always incoming. So he's just like, all right, okay. Nobody on the right is getting in there and asking Trump to do these things for America. Nobody. And then I see, and he talks about the economy and gas prices, and I'm realizing it's the same thing now. We're dealing with the same thing, but in a different way from the first administration. He's not getting good intel. The gatekeepers around him are stopping the real patriots, the real voices for truth in America. They're being blocked out. They're being gate kept out. And so, yeah, when all Trump can hear is, 50 people calling him every day saying, please do the hostages, do the peace deal, then that's what he does. So if we, the American patriots, if we call the new generational right is what I like to call it, if we were able to get that access, if we were able to be inside Trump's ear, inside this cabinet every single day, talking about the things that we care about, then Trump might actually be addressing those things. But we don't get the access. We get blocked. And the people that might get that access, that might even agree with us philosophically and politically, they're too cowardly to say anything. So there you have it. So there you have it. And now it's going to be the sob story. They can't eat. They don't have access to their food stamps. Oh, you mean they're going to have to provide for themselves like every other American? You mean they're going to have to find a way to pay their own bills and feed their own family like every other American? And that's the sob story. Oh my, the poor welfare recipient. The poor welfare recipient. And look, I don't want to be too inconsiderate here, okay? People are struggling, whatever. All right, I get it. It's fine. I've seen it. Okay? But don't let your liberal bleeding heart, don't let it bleed on me. Oh, the poor welfare recipients now. Their government card for food. Oh, they won't be able to eat. And the sob stories. Yeah. What about the average American that does make it for themselves, working 4 or 5 jobs? What about the average American that doesn't even have enough money in a savings account for an emergency? What about the average American that's taking out credit card debt just to pay basic bills, now drowning in debt, doesn't see a way out? What about the average American that can't get a job or that's had their job replaced by a foreign worker who works for half the price and then sends half their paycheck to a foreign country? No, you don't hear those stories. No, nobody. I thought this was all about that American. I thought this was all about the average American. I thought this was about the middle class American and building it back up. And no, it wasn't. No, it wasn't. And nobody will sob for them. Nobody will tell their story. But you'll hear it as soon as the food stamp bank account runs out and they can't. Oh, you're going to hear it all day long. The poor Americans, they can't eat. Well, guess what? I guess they'll just have to work for a living like everybody else then, won't they? And then they'll blame Trump. Trump is starving Americans. Oh, and they'll say it's racist. And they'll tell you how racist it is because the welfare programs are bankrupt now, just like the entire country. I mean, how dare you? How dare you? What are you going to say? They need to work too? What are you going to say? They have to earn their keep too? They have to buy their own food now? Is that what you're going to say? Is that? How heartless of you. Where are your morals? Have you no soul? Oh, you're right. I forgot, most Americans work for a living and have to pay their own grocery bills. It's not fun. They're really expensive right now. So how dare I expect the same of somebody who's been living off welfare? And it's odd. I'd like to see a study, actually. I'd like to see a study. I just see, how are they all so fat? Can we get a study here? I'm willing to bet. The average welfare recipient is more obese than Americans that are not on welfare. I would bet you that that's true. if you could find these numbers, hey, somebody at Doge, you guys got nothing to do. They don't want you to save money. So maybe we can have a little side project here. That'll be fun. Give me the body mass index of everybody on food stamps. I want the body mass index of every single person on food stamps. I'll pay $1 million. I think we can afford it, guys. They had like $3 million for African women's studies. Okay, let's cancel that contract. $3 million. I want to know the average body mass index for food stamp recipients versus non-food stamp recipients. I bet you the food stamp recipients are more obese. I bet you they are more overweight. How in the hell does that happen? No, but see, they're going to do it too. You know they're going to do it. You know, cue the Chuck Schumer alligator crocodile tears. And this administration would dare starve black people. Black people just trying to feed their kids. Donald Trump, you starved black people. Oh. And the average American that works for a living, white, black, anything, you know. Oh. Yes, you're supposed to pay so that these people can eat. And again, I get it. Oh, it sounds heartless and everything. Whatever. Fine. Call me heartless. I've never gotten food stamps. I've worked my whole life. I've had to pay my own way. So how heartless of me to expect for you to do the same. How heartless of me. In fact, so heartless that here, have some money. Here you go. I'm sorry. I just work for a living. Here, take some money, fat ass. Yeah. I'm so sorry. Oh, please go get another 12-pack of Twinkies. I'm heartless that I expect you to work for a living like me. I'm heartless that I expect you to pay for your own grocery bill like I do. I'm heartless. I'm the bad guy. Here, have some money. Have some of my money. And go get a ding dong. Just get ready. That's what they're going to do. It's your fault. Your fault. All right. This story keeps getting more ridiculous. This Letitia James deal. And she's had this rally for Mamdani. Was that Sunday night? Or I think it was last night or Sunday night. And Tish James is up there. She's a rally leader now. Big Tish. She's a motivational speaker now. So all of this is going on. She's up there screaming at a Mamdani rally, Tish James. And this is going on behind the scenes. Indicted Letitia James is housing a fugitive grandniece in her Virginia home. A fugitive. Indicted New York State Attorney General Letitia James has housed a fugitive relative in her Virginia house for 5 years, according to reports. The under fire prosecutor's grandniece, Nakia Thompson. She's bigger than Tish, by the way, for what it's worth. She might be on food stamps. I don't know. Knowing the history of Letitia James, they do seem to like to take advantage of the system. So there's probably good odds that old Nakia's on. She's got the food stamps. It's a big girl. She's been living there in Tish James' house with her 3 children. Oh, yeah. The odds of food stamps just went up. 3 children in the 3-bedroom property in Norfolk since 2020. It has been revealed that Thompson is officially listed as an absconder who is wanted by authorities in North Carolina for failing to finish her probation Ms. Thompson was sentenced to probation for misdemeanor convictions for assault and battery and trespassing and has willfully avoided probation supervision. Well, don't you know her grand auntie is? Don't you know who my grand aunt is? Big Tish James. You know, she got Donald Trump. An absconder is considered a fugitive. Thompson faces arrest if she's located in North Carolina. So I guess she's hiding at Letitia James's house. So does this make Letitia James now aiding and abetting, harboring a fugitive? Do we need to put another charge on the list? For your consideration, Pam Bondi. Is there any way we can skip the desk so where things go to disappear? Gavin Newsom signs bill allowing for more homes near transit to help address California housing costs. Okay. So they're doing it. They're taking all the land from the Palisades fire and they're turning into corporate mega housing. And they're doing everything to like not say that. But they started rezoning. They have already scrapped the plans to basically rebuild the neighborhoods as they stood, which were wealthier neighborhoods, big $1 million mansions. They said, nope, we're going to do mega apartments. And so they did the zoning, they did the mega apartments. Now they're getting ready to file to do them on an income-based type of access. So it's like one step above Section 9, which, by the way, they did here in Austin. It gets virtually the same results. It's not as bad as projects that like 10 years max before they usually go really bad. But they tried a similar project here in Austin with income-based access for these mega apartments. And it just, crime everywhere. Just resulted in massive increases of crime in what were normally nice areas. So that's what they do. They build these apartments in nice areas that would normally be expensive because, people that make more money want to live in a safer community. I mean, how dare they? How dare you, for being rich and successful, that you want to raise your family in a safer community? So the Democrats put low-income housing in the wealthier neighborhoods, and then the crime rate goes up. So this is everything they've done in California. And now Newsom signs this bill for the transit saying, now you can basically build these homes. We're going to make big mega developments right next to the train. And guess where they're going to put a train track? Right through where the fire went through, right through the Palisades. So they're doing it. They're doing it. Now, did they burn the city down intentionally? I don't know. But I'll tell you what, if it was done with intent, this is exactly what you would do afterwards, isn't it? For your friends. Yeah. For your communist philosophy, your socialist pipe dream. So there is a race happening in New Jersey, a governor's race between Democratic Representative Mickey Sherrill and Republican Jack Ciattarelli. Now, before I get into this story here, can I just say, New Jersey, listen, New Jersey, listen to me. We need you. We need you here big time, New Jersey. If a big-nosed Italian named Ciattarelli can't win in New Jersey, what are we doing, guys? What are we doing? If Ciattarelli, where's my Jersey Shore? If we can't get the Italian Ciattarelli, what are we doing, New Jersey? Come on. Well, now he's suing the New Jersey Democrat Mickey Sherrill to be sued for defamation over campaign attack where she accused Citarelli of killing thousands of people. You know, it's an odd thing here because litigation is really increasing. And you just heard the big story about Mike Lindell. Obviously, I've been through it before at InfoWars. I'm going through it right now personally. I'm in a legal defense. And now Republicans are starting to decide, myself included, it's like, okay, you know what? If we're in this lawfare territory, you've seen Trump do it. It's like, if we're in this lawfare game now, then we have to, we have to punch back. So it's like, now I'm very litigious. Trump is very litigious. It's like, normally we wouldn't want to do this. Like, we won't want to open these Pandora's boxes. We want to maintain at least some decorum. But now it's just lawsuits back and forth, lawsuits back and forth. So think about these implications now of these successful Trump lawsuits. What about if Citarelli wins this defamation case? I mean, where does this precedent go? Because the Democrats have been claiming that your Republican candidate is going to kill your grandma for 30 years, 40 years, 50 years they've been running these ads. They have these ads now where they put, the Republican dad, a white guy, clean cut, button-up shirt, drives a pickup truck, and he's chasing down Mexicans in his car. He's chasing them down. They say, this is your Republican candidate. He wants to chase down Mexicans. Look at him in his pickup truck. Look at him in his white skin. Or the famous one where they push grandma off the ledge. They run these ads. Republicans are going to steal your health care. Think about the president here. How many attack ads in campaign cycles, how many of them are just based off complete lies? 50%? Maybe more. I don't know. I'd say 50% is probably a fair starting point. So you win this lawsuit, how many people start to sue left and right? How many people start to sue left and right during these campaign attack ads? It's going to be a lot. And, I was in South Carolina yesterday. And I got a ride with a gentleman. And we were kind of talking politics. He was a younger guy. And he was telling me how he was trying to get into freight. But since he's an American, how hard it is. And he's like, we have to compete with illegal aliens. And he's like, I'm an American. I'm a young guy. And, he doesn't have anything to buy his own truck. He's got to go through a company. He's got to go, he's starting off with nothing basically, but he wants to drive freight. And he's telling me how hard it is because he's an American and he has to compete with all these foreign drivers that work for half. And it's like, if you're an American, you have to get your CDL. But if you're a foreigner, they don't make you get your CDL. And you had this story. This guy he's an Indian. He's not a legal citizen. He's not even here legally. Doesn't have a legal CDL, sends his paycheck back home to India, and he drives freight all over California. Well, the Trump administration is trying to put an end to this. They're threatening to pull federal funding. But, the Trump administration has been threatening these things for a long time. I don't know why he just doesn't pull federal funding from all of these states. Illinois, Washington, Oregon, California, New York. Just start there. Just start there. And let them wither. Let them wither. Let them flail. And then ultimately let them fail. But you know what? The truth is Trump has too big of a heart. He wouldn't do it. And maybe that's a good thing. But he always threatens it, and then they never do it. So, of course, the Democrats aren't going to, they don't respond to the threats because And then they call him chicken. They call him taco. Trump always chickens out. Hopefully eventually he doesn't. But it's going to hurt people. That's why he doesn't do it. Yeah, you cut the federal aid to these Democrat states. Yeah, they're going to be in problems. They're going to be having issues. So he doesn't do it. All right, we're going to come back and starting to get into some of the geopolitical news. But you know what? Trump is actually speaking from the White House right now. I want to see if I can pull some of this up as we hit the top of the hour. Let's see if we can't get President Trump talking about Charlie Kirk here, about to give him the freedom. Let's see if we can't take Trump live. All right, we're going to have Trump on the other side. First hour of the Owen Report in the books. We'll be right back with President Trump after this.
You're listening to the Owen Report on the Win Network.
Defense. He's smarter than the guys there. He was so smart. But he almost, I guess, didn't have the time. He knew what he wanted to do. It wasn't like, gee, I want to sit in the classroom for 4 years listening to people teach me liberal principles, because they were never going to teach him that anyway. But he didn't have the time. He really didn't have the time. But every time the enemies of goodness and virtue tried to silence the voice of righteous and noble leaders like Charlie, they failed. They seem to fail. Ultimately, they look like they're doing well, and then they end up failing, because the truth has been unrelenting over the years, over history. And people like Charlie, it's just they've got a power that others don't have, and very few people will ever have. So today, like those martyrs before him, Charlie's voice, his message, and his legacy are stronger and greater than ever before. They are greater than ever before. Look, this is a horrible event, but it brought out the greatness of Charlie. Nothing could have ever supplanted this. It's incredible the way people are talking about him. And with great love. I mean, I read so many stories about some of the enemies, but I watch the enemies, and it's hard for them to speak badly about him because they just don't. And then you do have people in the days since Charlie's killing. We've seen exactly why our country so dearly needed his example. We've watched legions of far-left radicals resort to desperate acts of violence and terror because they know that their ideas and arguments are persuading no one. They know that they're failing. They have the devil's ideology, and they're failing, and they know it. They feel it, and they become violent. They seem to become very violent on the left. They've rammed vehicles into federal law enforcement, fired sniper rifles at ICE agents, and me, you know. But I made a turn at a good time. I turned to the right. Charlie couldn't believe it, actually. He said, how the hell did you make that turn? I said, I don't know. But fired rifles and threatened the lives of our Supreme Court justices, our great justices. They have to be protected. We just issued a lot of money, $60 million, to protect the Supreme Court justices. Very important. We can't let anything happen. In places of worship, we're protecting our people. We've seen that a candidate for Attorney General in Virginia boasted that he would want to see the Republican legislature, a legislator in Virginia, shot in the head and to see his children murdered. He actually said this. And now he continues to run for office, and most people continue to back him, but he said he wants his man shot. He said shot in the head and to see his children murdered. And they keep running. Pretty amazing, right? That's a bad one. Let's see how that turns out, but that's a really bad one. Nobody's heard that one before. Especially in the wake of Charlie's assassination, our country must have absolutely no tolerance for this radical left violence, extremism, and terror. We're done with the angry mobs, and we're not going to let our cities be unsafe. We're going to make sure our cities are safe. When you have Chicago, where they had 4,000 people murdered over a very short period of time, 4,000 people, and then we have a governor stand up and say, oh, things are going swimmingly. No, they're not. We're going to make Chicago safe, just like we're going to make, look what we did in D.C. It's so nice that we started here, because this was one of the most violent places in the United States. It'd be dangerous to be right out here. But you couldn't go to a restaurant. The restaurants were all dying. The whole place was dying. You'd have these gorgeous, look at the Washington Monument over there. You'd have these gorgeous buildings and monuments and structures. And people were afraid to leave their apartment. They were afraid to go to work. They'd get into an Uber and they'd feel safe, and then the Uber would be attacked. They thought they made it, and then the Uber was attacked on the trip in. But we've done a great job, and now it's considered a totally safe city. We haven't had problems. It took us 12 days to make it great. We took out, Pam, 1,700 hard criminals, career criminals in many cases, but these are hardened criminals. Many of them came in through the Biden open borders. We brought them back to the countries. And a couple were so violent that we put them in jail. We don't want to take a chance that they could get back here.
You
no matter how good we do, somebody can sneak in. They were so violent.
This guy's endurance, this guy's energy
bad.
Is
one arrested 28 times. Every time
very impressive for an 80-year-old man. Now, I don't know. Maybe he can sleep on airplanes.
And we put him away
sleep on airplanes?
For a long time.
You know, I just did a quick.
But we're done with the angry mobs.
Double travel day, show day.
Unbelievable.
Yesterday
place
and
right
today.
Now, you take a look.
And it's just like 2 days of 2 shows
with your wife
and 2 travel days is enough for me to be like, oh man, I can't wait to finish up today and finish work and put my head down and rest. This guy's been to what?
A year and a half ago,
4 different countries, signed multiple peace deals, had like
of being
10 different public statements, public addresses. Now he's back at the White House doing it again.
They come in from Iowa. They come from Florida.
Love him or hate him, like the results of this administration or not, you got to at least.
I'm sorry, but
you got to at least tip your cap to the old man's endurance. Very impressive.
Not anymore. You hear those sirens going off? That's good. That's a good sound. That means they either got the bad guy or they're going to stop the bad guy. You didn't hear that sound because nobody wanted to do anything. Nobody, listen to the beauty of that sound.
All right, come on.
Seriously. And that's the real deal sirens. They're not politically correct sirens. You hear
it's really
about
not
3
so
miles away.
because that means that there's criminals.
What a beautiful
that's really,
sound.
I mean, you're in any of these downtown areas, it's sirens basically 24/7. That's because there's
criminals. So we're done with
I don't know.
the voices.
I mean, I get his point, but I'm not. I think we're going to call that a pass ball. No, that's a wild pitch. That's a wild pitch.
Charlie's, one of his biggest dreams was that he couldn't believe it. Chicago is going to be a great city again. We've already, we sent people in there 6 months ago, and this governor said, well, crime is down. Yeah, that's because we had the FBI in there for 6 months, just preparing it for the bigger surge. And they've done a great job, the cash and the FBI. They've done a great job, and they love doing it. They love being able to do it. They were restricted from doing it. They couldn't do anything.
Oh, wow.
And now they're
you hear those
totally unrestricted. All they have to do is stop crime.
Somebody right down there.
By the way, Memphis, as you know, you heard they went in about a week ago.
Somebody right
one of the most dangerous places in the country. It's really in the world. It's not just the country. They have very few cities that would
speech crime
compare to some of these cities.
Randy Fine,
Afghanistan,
is what happened. Randy Fine, he picked
the crime numbers are.
He said it's not good.
Much better.
They called it a speech crime.
Places
might be a college student.
Memphis,
I don't know. Might have to be deported for their speech crime. That's what that siren's
like
for.
A different place. And,
thank you, Randy.
This took 12 days, and then after that, we just perfected it. But after 12 days, we had good safety here. After 1 month, it's like it's really amazing. And by the way, restaurants are booming. Restaurants are opening up. The big problem we have, you can't get into a restaurant in D.C. anymore. So they're opening up. It's a beautiful thing to see. It's called safety. It's called law enforcement and letting them do their job. And that's why I said last month that I have directed the Attorney General and the Department of Homeland Security to confront the very real threat of left-wing terrorism in our country. It's a real threat. Not when you confront it, it's not, because They're not brave people. In fact,
I don't know. I
they're
don't really
cowards.
know if Pam Bondi
When you
is
confront
convincing
them, they
anybody
immediately
that she's doing anything
fold.
about
You have
left-wing
to see them
terrorism.
fold. You have
In
to
fact,
see them
they just
crying.
released the list
They
for the
fold.
No Kings protest.
But it
They
includes
got the big No
dismantling
Kings
the
protest
networks
coming
that
up now.
fund them and
It's going
finance
to be the
them. And
biggest
we're finding out
protest
who
ever.
those
Rachel
networks
Maddow
are.
was
We
on
already
TV.
know
Rachel
quite a few of
Maddow
them.
is such a kook.
When you see these
It's
violent
really strange,
incidents,
actually,
and then you
to
see
witness
people
this
holding
woman
this gorgeous
or whatever.
sign with beautiful
And she's on TV.
wood,
She's like, I have to
beautiful
do 2 shows
cardboard,
this week.
wood,
She does 1 show a week now.
everything's perfect paint
Makes
job,
millions of dollars. She
and they're all
complains she
the
has to do
same.
2
There
shows
are
this week. She's like,
thousands
oh my
of them.
God, she's on
You
it. She's on
know
TV last night. Oh
that
my
they weren't
God.
made in the
I have to
basement
do 2
out of love.
shows. And
They
she has
were
like this
made by
resting cry face. It's like her
anarchists.
whole shtick is that she's
And
about
in
to
some
cry the whole
cases,
time.
wealthy. I'll probably find some of my nice
So she's
friends
crying
that
about how she has to do 2
are
shows
up
this
there
week. She has to do a show on
being so
Monday and
nice to me,
Friday this week.
especially
It's
lately.
tough. You know, it's hard to be
Very
Rachel
nice.
Maddow for an
But,
hour, 1 hour show
It surprises you
with,
who they may be, and
20
you almost
producers and
wonder
everything.
why
Very
why
tough
would they
stuff.
do it?
And
But they're
at least
hurting our
3
country,
guests,
and we're
and
really
panelists,
taking
everything
it
else.
back
It's really hard
one
to fill
by
an hour
one. If
when
we
you're
didn't
Rachel
go into
Maddow
Los Angeles
once, twice a week. It's
early
brutal.
on in the
Crushing
administration,
even.
the
She
commissioner, the
cries
chief
through
of
it. She makes
police,
it through.
Los
She's
Angeles
tough.
said, if they didn't
And
go in,
Rachel
we would
Maddow
have
says
lost
this
our
is going to be
city.
the
Now, they
biggest
already lost
protest in the
25,000
history of
houses to
America.
fire because they wouldn't
The
let the
No
water
Kings
come in from the
protest is going to be the
Pacific
biggest
Northwest,
protest in the history
which
of
they should
America.
have done.
So
I said, you better
they
do
put
it.
out their
They
sponsor
didn't
sheet,
do it,
Pam.
and we had
Are you listening,
25,000
Pam?
homes where they had no water in the sprinklers.
Are you
They had no
watching,
water in the
Pam?
fire hydrants. It would have
The
been a
No
different
Kings
kind of a thing
protest
if they
put out
did
their
what they were
sponsor
supposed to
sheet.
do. We had to break in. We broke in and
We
had
know
the
where
water
the
come down.
funding comes
They
from.
actually, they said for the
They
environment.
literally
Great, they
plaster
lost
it on their
25,000 houses.
flyers.
It's incredible. But
Pam?
the commissioner said without the federal government and President Trump's intervention, we would have lost the entire city. And we have the Olympics going there soon. I got the Olympics. We have the Olympics. We have the World Cup. And we have, most importantly, we have the 250th anniversary of our country. That's going to be most important. And all of these things are happening. And we're going to have safe cities. We're going to have very, very safe cities. So 1 month after Charlie's death, we still feel the terrible shock and the pain of his loss, like just about nobody I can think of. Charlie Kirk was one of a kind. He was unstoppable. And he really was. Boy, when he had an idea in his head, he would call me, sir, please, you haven't done it yet. I said, Charlie, relax. Just relax. He didn't relax. He'd call me the next day again.
So I got
it done.
We got
But he
Trump
was
rolling
like
here just
indomitable
as a
and
Medal of Freedom
always
ceremony
will be.
at the
He's
White
really
House today, and I'm
irreplaceable.
looking
Nobody's
at your
going to
comment.
replace him. But they're going to do great. But you can't replace that kind of person and that kind of talent, frankly. The word talent is an important word, but that kind of talent. So we hold his memory
said
in
this a
our
while
hearts
back.
forever,
You know,
every single day.
It's almost
of
reached a
this
point where
administration. We will
MAGA and
continue
even
to
Trump
carry
at
out
times becomes
the
rage
mission
bait.
for which he lived.
I see your
And he
comments
really
right
did.
now.
He lived for this country. He lived for his
And my
wife
producer
and
is
his
with
family,
us
but he lived
in
for
the
this country
studio
too.
today,
In Charlie's honor,
updating me like, hey,
we will
the audience wants you to move on. The
continue
audience
like we
doesn't want to
have
listen
been
to Trump
fight,
anymore.
fight,
All
and to
right.
win. We're going to win so much.
All right, we can move on. But that's definitely a phenomenon. That's what I was talking about
So
last week. The magic is
the
gone.
Presidential Medal of Freedom is a big
The
deal.
magic is
You
gone.
have the Congressional Medal of Honor,
People just don't want to hear it
military,
because it just
and the
it's,
Presidential Medal of Freedom.
and
which
you know
is
this is a
civilian.
different ceremony, but it
And
really
the
just becomes this issue
Presidential
of
Medal of Freedom
just
is
how
a
many times
really
do we have to
big
hear the
deal.
same
Very
thing?
few people get it. Very few people, frankly,
How many
qualify.
times do we have
It's
to
a
hear them
decision of
say the same
president,
thing
but
over
it's
and
a
over and
qualification
over
that's
again?
a very
Like,
hard
dude,
one to.
this was the campaign. You're in there now.
And
Let's
I would
go.
like to ask, if I might, the military aide to read
It's like MAGA is the new rate.
James Kirk's citation for the Presidential Medal of Freedom. Thank you very much.
Pretty telling, huh?
Thank you.
All right, well, we'll move on. We will move on. That's what you want. Yeah, I heard you loud and clear. So we'll just move on then.
Ladies and gentlemen, your new home for political play-by-play, the Owen Report.
Little Paul McCartney bringing us back. Paul McCartney and Wings, Jet. You ever seen Paul McCartney perform live? Or The Clone, whatever it is. Fantastic. Guy's unbelievable. Guy is unbelievable. All right. All right, we're into hour number 2 here of the Owen Report. I do have a bunch of geopolitical news I want to get to now. And Trump had a cabinet meeting before he went into the Rose Garden with Javier Milei of Argentina and produced a couple of headlines, including one about Spain. He was asked by an Argentinian journalist if they would consider pushing Spain out of NATO. Now, the story here is that Spain is not paying the 5% or whatever it is that NATO is asking Spain to pay. And this is all at Trump's behest, by the way. When Trump got these European countries to start paying more, we still pay the majority of it, and we aren't even in Europe. But aside from that issue, so Spain is refusing to do it, and I think they got their own. I think they got their own geopolitical issues with not just NATO but other things. And I think that Spain is kind of looking for its own nationalistic identity right now. So I think anything that's a separate entity than Spain, they're kind of just not interested in, let's say. But so the reporter asks Trump, are you considering removing Spain from NATO? And I'm like, but the concept here is that somehow that's punishment for Spain. Like somehow that's a bad thing. And I'm over here like, whoa, hey, can we get out of NATO? How is it Spain is going to get out of NATO before us? Wait a second. Hold on. Spain gets out, but not us? I was a little jealous. I was like, how come Spain? Wait, Spain gets to go? What about, I want to go. We want out, not Spain. So, okay. So then Trump says, well, and he probably in his own head is probably thinking, we don't want, we're not going to let Spain out. We're not letting Spain out of this contract, this geopolitical social contract that we all have to be in NATO and pay a bunch of money to have this perpetual concept of a war with Russia, this Cold War era policy. So Trump's like, I can't, don't give the Americans any ideas. Spain out of NATO, the Americans might want to be out of NATO too. Hold on. So then he says he's going to consider punishing Spain with tariffs. So there you go. Instead of just leaving NATO, we're going to punish Spain with tariffs, he says. Now, the Russia-Ukraine war is it's not good. It's raging on. And I think what's happening now is that Kiev and the oligarchs and Zelensky are starting to feel the pressure. The wagons are starting to circle, if you will. Because Kiev has remained in a bubble throughout this entire war. The oligarchs in Kiev and Zelensky's friends and the brass, many of it, have remained in this bubble in Kiev, mostly untouched by the war. It's got a booming social life, economy, nightlife. It's expansive. And they're also having fun traveling to Europe They've got their yachts, their mansion, their fancy cars, their properties all over Europe. But now Russia is starting to move in towards Kiev. And Kiev is starting to feel the pressure. And so Zelensky is calling Trump, and he's saying we need Patriot missiles for self-defense. We need to have Tomahawk missiles so that when Russia gets closer, we can attack first. And Trump's considering giving it to him. Now, I don't know how much of that is Trump just politically, publicly posturing himself for negotiations, or if he really wants to do it. So that war is not cooling down. That war is not cooling down. And again, I understand how Trump operates, where you can't take everything he says at face value. That's not to say that he's a liar on certain issues, but like when he tries to tough talk Putin or talk about the complexity of the dynamics between the Russian economy and the rest of the world and all this stuff, he says things that he probably knows are not true, but that's his public posturing. That's his public political posturing so that he can have a face going into negotiations. Because no, Russia is not losing. Putin is very popular in Russia. More people in Russia support the war than people in Ukraine. In fact, the people in Ukraine really don't even support the war anymore. It's the European countries that are forcing Ukraine to fight this. And then Zelensky's intelligence handlers. So this war is not getting any better. And then they catch they catch these cars at the border, and they're going over into Romania, and they're going over into Europe and other countries, and they find these cars, and they go in to the cars like you might see at the border here when people are trying to sneak drugs or illegal aliens or something. And they break down these cars, and they're finding millions and millions of American dollars. Cash. Where do you think that's coming from? Where are millions of dollars in cash stashed in vehicles crossing the Ukraine border coming from, folks? Well, it's coming from America. How's it getting there? More money, more missiles, more war. Peacetime. The ceasefire, the peace treaty between Israel and Palestine is already on the brink, ladies and gentlemen. Israel and Hamas trade accusations of ceasefire violations. Yes, Hamas has already killed people. Israel has already fired on people, drone struck. And everybody's like kind of looking around like, what's going on here? Is this just some remaining fireworks, or are we ramping it back up? Here's some of the latest headlines. Israel drone strike reported in Khan Yunis. Medical sources in Gaza are reporting 9 people killed in Gaza since yesterday. You also have Iran, who just convicted 2 French nationals of spying for Israel. So this could just be some aftermath of all of it, some lingering tension, some other lingering issues. But there's other things that are making me skeptical. By the way, Indonesian President Prabowo Subianto, he canceled his visit to Israel. He was supposed to go visit Netanyahu in Israel. He canceled it. And then Israel reported to the press the reason why he canceled it is because the details of the visit were leaked. So to me, what that says is that the president, this is how I'm interpreting this. The president of Indonesia wanted to meet with Netanyahu, or was invited to meet with Netanyahu, but he didn't want anyone to know it. He didn't want the people of Indonesia to know it. My guess is that's because the people of Indonesia are not very big fans of Netanyahu. And so he didn't want the people of Indonesia knowing that he was meeting with Netanyahu. And then once it went public, he canceled it. That's my interpretation. Now, that there could be something else, but that's my interpretation. Is he was going to have the meeting, but once it got public, he said, nope, I can't have people knowing about it. By the way, how did Ben Shapiro get the invite to the peace treaty deal in the hostage negotiations in Israel? How did Ben Shapiro get that invite? Seems like a pretty exclusive invite, but he was there. He was there. I've never seen him prouder, by the way. That looked like the proudest moment of his life. But of course, I don't think anybody would be surprised. It was a big moment for Israel, and he's really an Israeli, posing as an American. But how did he get that invite? That seems like you got to be very well connected to get that invite. But he made it. Netanyahu apparently didn't get the invite to the actual peace treaty ceremony. And this is how I know he's lying, because he said, well, Netanyahu told the press he didn't go to the ceremony in Egypt because it was a Jewish holiday. But Netanyahu just spent the last Jewish holiday, and I don't know how they rank. I mean, can you rank religious holidays? I don't know. But it does seem some holidays are more important than others. But this is like a month long of Jewish holidays right now, so I don't claim to know. But the last Jewish holiday Netanyahu spent in America, and it seemed like that was the big one. I don't know. That was the big. There was a lot of hubbub around the last Jewish holiday. He spent that in America, so he didn't have a problem with that. But now he says, I'm not going to go to the biggest peace ceremony in modern world history for Israel and the Gulf nation states. Biggest peace ceremony this decade, and he was a no-show. I don't think anybody wanted there. I don't think anybody wanted him there. I think he knows nobody wanted him there, and so he didn't show up. And he's just saying he didn't go because it was a religious holiday, and that's his excuse. But he spends religious holidays, he spends Jewish holidays outside of Israel all the time, including just last month, the one he spent in America. So he's lying. But again, Netanyahu isn't really known for reporting the truth now, is he? So let's go to the first video of the day here. I want you to listen to Mark Levin. And I actually had a debate on the Israel issue scheduled for tonight, and I decided to postpone it. Ashton Forbes was going to be coming on the channel. And I told him that I wanted to postpone it because in the aftermath of the peace ceremony, you know, I saw a lot of the same fighting. I saw a lot of the same hatred on X. And I just told him, I was like, hey, do you mind if we just push this back a couple nights? Because, you know, it's like, I want to at least have show some honor of the peace deal. You know, some people couldn't help it. Immediately after the peace deal was signed, they went right back to their hatred. They went right back to their hatred. And when you hear this clip from Mark Levin, it gives you a better understanding of where it's coming from. And so I saw the hatred right after the peace deal, and I said, I'm not going to be a part of this negativity. I've already said my piece. And you know, the different issues that we have here, we have to remember our humanity. Hostages were returned. Thousands of hostages were in Israel. You know, a couple dozen hostages in Palestine. People reunited with their family, at least for a day. The killing stopped. And then you log on to X, and it's the same people trying to convince you to hate the other team. And so I just told her, I was like, hey, I just don't want to be a part of that negativity. This is a big peace deal, no matter what. Let's I just don't want to be a part of the negativity. And that didn't last. So I just was like, hey, let's just push it back till Thursday. But it didn't last. And it's the same people pushing the same hatred. And it's just like, not even, it's like the ink didn't even dry on the peace treaty before these people went right back to convincing you to hate, to join in their hate. And there might not be a better example than Mark Levin. Ink not even dry on the peace deal. And here's Mark Levin.
The time is right with the Trump peace plan to use this historic achievement to go to the next level, to protect us, to protect the West. That is, challenge the root cause of the problem, Islamist terrorism. And
there it is. And there it is. And that's what it's always been about. Listen, again, the ink is not even dry. And Mark Levin is telling you it's time to go to war against Muslims again, to save the West. The Muslims aren't in the West, Mark. And the only reason there's Muslims here is because we opened our border and we embraced liberal diversity. The ink not even dry, and Levin is calling for more war. Do you get it? Do you understand this? Listen to this again.
the time is right with the Trump peace plan to use this historic achievement to go to the next level, to protect us, to protect the West. That is, challenge the root cause of the problem, Islamist terrorism. And to be clear, I believe the only leader who can do this, who is bold, courageous, strategic, and have a real shot at making it work, is President Trump. Our State Department keeps a long list of terrorist organizations and the countries they are operating.
So let me tell you what you're in the middle of. And I've tried different ways of packaging this and communicating this. Let me explain exactly what you're up against, and you can probably see it now. You probably see it now, and maybe especially after this Mark Levin clip. Folks, what you have is you have people that are filled with hate. And you have people that hate Israel, and you have people that hate Muslims. And their entire agenda is to convince you to join on their team of hatred. You're a free agent in their eyes. You're not involved in Middle East politics. You're not involved in religious and holy wars from that part of the world. You're an American. You're a Christian. You're an American. You're an Anglo-Saxon. Maybe you're a Black American, a Mexican American, whatever. You have nothing to do with this stuff. You have nothing to do with the 1,000-plus-year-old wars of the Middle East that have driven these people to such levels of hatred that it's all they know. It's literally all they know. And so they look at you as a free agent. And all they can think about is, how do I convince you to join my team of hatred? I need you to hate Muslims. Now, what can I do to get you to hate Muslims? And it's the same thing on the other side. I need you to hate Israel. And maybe for some it's Jew hate. I need you to hate Israel. What can I do to get you to hate Israel with me? And for people like Levin, it's, I need to get you to hate Muslims. I need to get you to hate Islam. And I'm going to dedicate my career to deceiving American Christian conservatives into hating Islam, because that's what's best for me and my people and my country of Israel. It's not best for America. It's not best for Americans. No, The Middle East has now brought its war to the United States of America. The Middle East has now brought its hatred to the United States of America. Americans should be upset that this is what's happening, but that's what it is. And Levin, he can't even help himself. Ink is not even dry, and he's already calling for more war. The peace deal is signed, so we need more war against Islam. And of course, we all know what that means. We all know what that means. I'm sick of it. I'm sick of it all. I've been sick of it since day one. I called this out since October 8th, 2 years ago. Immediately, I said, this is going to end up with foreign flags in our country and this war in our country. And now here we are. And we can't even go a day. We can't even go one day without Lakudnik Levin going on air and telling you you need to hate Muslims. And we need to direct the entire force of the U.S. government and this administration against Islam. Ink not even dry. And you see this stuff, and it's on both sides. And you see this stuff, and you realize they don't want peace. And you know what? It might even be, it's not even that they don't want peace. It's that they don't have any room for peace. Because their entire heart, their entire soul, their entire mind is occupied by hate. It's at full capacity. And it's filled with hate. There's no room for peace in Mark Levin's soul. It's only hate. It's only war. And what are they really saying? And see, this is where it comes into the projection issue. And it could be true both ways, but, you know, you'll hear the people like Mark Levin talk about how they want all Jews dead. Mark, you want all radical Muslims dead. It's the same thing. You guys are literally two sides of the same coin. You're two sides of the same coin, Mark. And we Americans are sick of it. We want nothing to do with it. But you just showed who you really are. We already knew it, but now there's no doubt. You couldn't even let the ink dry on the peace deal before you're calling for more war. And you're saying we need to use this entire administration to crush Islam. It's disgusting. We want nothing to do with it. We want nothing to do with your Middle East wars. We want none of the hatred. We don't have the hatred that you have. It's generational hatred. And Levin will come out and say, you are inherently anti-Semitic if you're white. Again, it's projection. I don't have much hope for this peace deal. I got to be honest. First 24 hours doesn't look good. The culture hasn't changed. The message hasn't changed. Maybe the death has stopped or at least slowed down, but I don't see any desires. Now, Trump got the world leaders together to do it, but the voices, the influencers, they don't want peace. They just want death. Both sides, that's all they want is death. And America is here caught in the middle. And you're going to have your Israel haters and you're going to have your Jew haters telling you they're going to convince you, find any way they can to get you to join in their hatred. And then you're going to have the Mark Levins and the Ben Shapiros and all of them. And they're going to try to get in the Laura Loomers. And they're going to tell you need to hate Islam and hate Muslims. Because now that's what America is. That's what America is now. Our politicians are all sellouts. And now here comes Qatar. And now here comes Saudi Arabia. And they're like, well, gee, you're telling me that your politicians are just whores? They're like, how did these Gulf nation states are like, gee, how did Israel get so much control over the United States of America? What is going on here? how did Israel get all this influence and access in Washington, D.C.? And then they look into that. They just bought their politicians. So that's all it takes is a paycheck? We just got to pay them? So here comes Qatar. Here comes the Qatari money. Here comes the Qatari influence, Saudi Arabia, all of it. And you see, all the same voices. They're all complaining about that. No, only Israel is allowed to buy our politicians. Only Israel is allowed to co-opt and compromise American politics, not a Muslim country. And then if you dare say, hey, I don't want any of it, actually. Oh, well, you're an anti-Semite. That's not America first. No, see, I'm consistent. I don't like Israel or Qatar having any influence. But you go look at Laura Loomer, you go look at a Mark Levin, they love Israel running this administration. They love it. But the minute there's a Qatari involved, all of a sudden Trump is bad. All of a sudden Trump doesn't know what MAGA is. Trump isn't America first. No, you're the inconsistent ones, but you're just showing your true colors. All you're doing is showing that you were always loyal to a different cause. You were always loyal to a foreign country. You were always loyal to a foreign cause. And now is when your true colors show. Because at the end of the day, it might not even be loyalty to Israel. It might actually just be loyalty and commitment to hate. That's what you're really committed to. And this is what Americans have to realize. If we let hate control our foreign policy, folks, we spend $20 trillion in the Middle East. And eventually it will come back to bite us. And I can't believe that we have to tolerate this less than 24 hours after the peace deal was signed, and it's already the same people voicing the same hate and calling for war again. It's never enough. So what? I would like to know then, but I think it's pretty clear. So what would be enough? What would be enough for Mark Levin? I'd like to know, Mark, what would be enough for you? What is it that you could finally feel comfortable? Your trauma-based mind control, your trauma-based schizophrenia, paranoid schizophrenic Levin, what would be enough from you? Do you want every Muslim dead? Is that what you want? Do you want Islam wiped off the face of the earth? I think that's what you really want. But you're never going to say that, because then that would show all the projection over the years, all the lies over the years, all the manipulation, all the deception. And then at the end of the day, you were the monster. The entire time, you were the monster that you claimed your enemies were. I don't want any of it. I'm sick of the Middle East politics. I'm sick of the Middle East hate. And you're like, man, maybe now that this peace deal is done, Trump can finally start to do America first. Maybe now that it's done, we can finally start to focus on America and American issues, the things that the average American thinks about and talks about. Maybe we can finally do it. And then here comes Levin again. Nope, it wasn't enough. He never wanted peace, did he? He never wanted peace. Now, apparently, I couldn't find this anywhere in American media, but Glenn Greenwald, who lives in Brazil, is reporting that they now have anti-Semitic speech crime in Brazil. And it's actually a Jewish journalist named Breno Altman. He's a Jewish journalist in Brazil. And he was indicted for anti-Semitic tweets. So a Jew in Brazil, a Jewish journalist in Brazil, has been indicted for anti-Semitic tweets. By the way, what happened to, do you remember this headline? Israel official arrested for pedophilia. You guys remember this one? You remember the name Alexandrovich? Israel official Alexandrovich skips U.S. court hearing on child sex charges. Judge denies lawyers' claim that Israeli official could skip arraignment for child sex crime charges in Nevada. Yeah. What's up with that? Why is it that pedophiles get to go get safe harbor in Israel? And now he doesn't have to show up to court. a pedophile caught in a pedophile sting gets safe harbor in Israel, and he's skipping court dates in Nevada. Just a little court update there for you. Just a little court update. You might have missed that one. You might have missed that one. But this is now the ultimate showdown in right-wing politics. I don't know if it comes to the front in 2016 or 2028, but it's coming. Let me give you some examples here. Let me see if I can pull this up. Not going to let me pull this up, huh? Oh, here we go. I think I can share this one. Okay. I'm going to show you a couple examples here. Carol Markowitz. When people on the right flip on Israel, it's usually because they've moved left on other issues as well. Uh-oh. Okay. Are you guys picking this up? You guys know where this is going? Will Chamberlain. Anti-Zionism is a gateway drug to political leftism. Bingo, talking point just dropped. They're losing the narrative. We need to change the narrative. We need to change the approach. So now let's say that if you don't support Israel, you're a leftist, which is really just a remake. That's what they used to say. And then it didn't work. And then they tried everything else. And so now they're just back to the original. They're just going with the original again. Let's replay that one. You're a leftist if you don't support Israel. Not working. Not working. So it shows how badly they're losing. And of course, they're attacking Marjorie Taylor Greene because she's going after AIPAC. Can we all agree that this moron is ejected from MAGA now? Again, these are the new gatekeepers. These are the new gatekeepers of MAGA. Since when did MAGA become a cult? You sound like a liberal. You sound like a woke leftist, is what you sound like. That's what it sounds like to me. And you watch. You watch, because they'll probably complain about this. I bet you they will eventually complain. NFL star Jason Kelce says anyone who has a problem with Bad Bunny performing at the Super Bowl halftime show is unfit for America's future. And these same people that will hold this standard and say, if you don't support Israel, you're not allowed in MAGA, or if you don't support Israel, you're a leftist. But then they'll say, oh, look, here's Jason Kelce thinking he's gatekeeping. He's gatekeeping of who gets to be in America's future. Look at liberal cults. Look at liberal gatekeepers. You do the same thing. You literally do the exact same thing. And you watch. They'll come out and they'll call Jason Kelce a gatekeeper and a communist and all these things, and they're doing the exact same thing he's doing. You're not allowed in if you don't do this. You are the woke right. I've been warning them, but they don't listen. And they can't, because at the end of the day, Israel is their cause. So it's not about that they're not listening. It's that Israel is their cause. They're not going to drop it. So this is in Politico today. It even got onto the Drudge Report. I love Hitler. Leaked messages expose young Republicans' racist chant. Now, they'll turn this into probably a bigger thing than it is. But there's no doubt this stuff is going on around young right-wing message threads. And, some of this has kind of slipped into the mainstream, let's say, but, Turning Point is a very large organization. A lot of people involved, a lot of young people that are influencers there. And, where do you think they're getting some of these text groups? The college age Turning Point USA influencers, their politics are much closer to Nick Fuentes than they are to Ben Shapiro, let's say. And it's really not even close. So why is this happening? Well, you're always going to have haters. There's always going to be haters out there that pick a group of people they don't like or whatever it is. No. Why is this happening? It's happening because these young conservatives are being told you're not allowed in if you don't support this foreign country. It's happening because young conservatives that are against foreign aid, that are against Middle East wars, are being told you're an anti-Semite. It's happening because young conservatives, America First conservatives, with their own independent thought process, are called Qatari agents for speaking their minds freely. So, yeah, when you get lied about, when you get attacked, when you get deceived, when your cause gets co-opted, things start to get a little hazy. Things start to go a little haywire, don't they? And then they say, well, my goodness, what is going on? These young conservatives now, they're so anti-Semitic. Well, they were pushed into that box. You call someone an anti-Semite enough times, they just throw their hands in the air and they just say, okay, fine, whatever. We saw it happen with a lot of issues on the right. They called you a racist 100 times. Okay, fine, whatever, I'm a racist. Don't care. It doesn't mean anything anymore. You're a homophobe. You're this, you're that. Eventually, conservatives, right-wingers just threw their hands in there and said, whatever, call me whatever you want. Don't care. Not true. Don't care. But now it's happening on the Israel issue specifically. So, oh, you're a Qatari agent, or you don't get it, or you're an anti-Semite, you're a Jew hater. And eventually they're sitting here being like, hey, I just have a policy disagreement. I didn't think this was a cult. I didn't know you were the gatekeeper of MAGA. And then they get pushed out of MAGA. And then they're told they're not even right-wing. So they end up in this other box over here where all these other people were pushed into. And then somebody makes a joke, a crack, about liking Hitler. Or maybe they're serious. I don't know. I'm not in these text threads. Of course, they nitpick the ones that look the worst, but where do you want these people to go? They've been pushed into a box. And it's not a small group of people. It's probably, and actually the polls indicate it's a majority of people now on the right that are against Israel. And really, it's probably more fair to say against Netanyahu because it gets misinterpreted. Like somehow you're against the Israeli people. No, the Israelis have a corrupt leader. The Israelis have a corrupt party, just like Americans do. But that's why they love to play this game and say, oh, you're an anti-Semite or you're anti-Israel. No, Americans don't like the foreign policy. They don't like the foreign entanglements, and they don't like the foreign aid, and maybe they don't like Netanyahu. Maybe they don't like what's going on in Gaza. And then they get shoved. They get shoved out of every political movement on the right. They get shoved out of every conservative group on the right. And so they all end up over here, and they just are like, well, okay, I guess we're all over here now. We're America first, and we don't like foreign entanglements and foreign aid, and we got shoved out of mainstream conservatism, so now we're all kind of over here having a good time. But it's only going to get worse. I'm afraid to tell you. It's only going to get worse. And I anticipate we're going to see more of this. And look, the whole $7,000 Israel influence thing, it's like, yeah, there's obviously some truth to that. It's very well known the IDF has, digital soldiers. It's very well known that Israel has paid propagandists on the internet. That's not a secret. Netanyahu admits it. He invites the people that do it to talk with him. So it's not like it's a secret. It's not like they're hiding it. Maybe at one point they pretended it didn't exist, but it's all an open secret now. Does that mean everybody that posts positive for Israel is getting 7,000 a post? Obviously, that's not the case. But people get suspicious and they wonder, why are you loyal to a foreign country? So they wonder. This is what you're going to be seeing. So you had some of these, the Israel influencers. They get invited to all the Netanyahu events. They get all the access, everything else. They go on the foreign trips. And they were seen on the streets of D.C. And it went like this.
She thinks she's stands on Palestine.
What?
Palestine.
I don't know what you're talking
You know the
about.
Gaza is the babies that you guys are complicit in.
About the babies
You
that
can-
were
Put
burned
that baby,
alive
that was debunked. That was
October 7th.
debunked. Israel debunked.
I think it's awful what Hamas is doing to
Terrible that
No, what the
Hamas
IDF
uses-
is doing.
No, how
What the
Hamas
IDF is doing. Get out of here.
uses
Get out of
babies
here.
as human
Get out of
shields.
here. You think you're out of here. You guys are disgusting people. Disgusting people. Princess? Oh, keep your pants. Nobody asked you. Nobody asked you. Yo, guys. You guys are complicit in genocide.
Do you think
Yo, guys. Complicit in genocide. That's an IDF. That's an IDF. That's it. Out of here. You look like shit. I want to hit you with a bat. Get out of here. What you talking about? Get out of here. Look, he's trying to get some buns right now. He's trying to get some buns. That's what it is, man, right? You want to get some buns. Is that what it is? Huh? What? What, you going to hit me? You going to hit me? You could try. You IDF? IDF? That's how you feel? That IDF.
IDF special forces in the streets of
Little
D.C.
nasty right here. All the videos. Get the fake. When two Israelis talk.
Palestinian in Jerusalem don't
What are
have
you?
a citizenship and
So why are you carrying a foreign flag?
This is only going to get worse, folks. It's only going to get worse. And it's the reality when you get involved in politics and you're a public figure that, you're going to have people that don't like you. You're going to have people that want to confront you in public. But this is going to come from the left. It's going to come from the right. I'm not telling you what to do with your X account, your social media accounts, your political opinions, whatever. If Israel is your issue and you want to support that and that's your cause, then that's fine. You'll make that decision. But this is only going to get worse. Everybody's going to accuse you of being a foreign agent. It's going to be hard to deny it. And yeah, I would anticipate this is where the public confrontation is going now. It's not left. It's not right. It's foreign assets and foreign agents. And it's funny, because people always say that I need to go back out on the streets. And, my nickname when I was doing these things was the Cuck Destroyer, is what they called me, the Cuck Destroyer or the Destroyer. And I'm like, okay, well, if I was going to go out and do my street content again and my street confrontations again, I'd say, okay, well, where are the cucks? Who are the cucks that need destroyed? And you know what the truth is, ladies and gentlemen? It's people on the right. The cucks are on the right now. So it's not really a game I want to be in. I'm not going to get into street confrontations with conservatives. We'll have dialogues and debates and disagreements. We'll have them on this show. We'll have them on X. I don't think they want me in the streets destroying the cucks of the right wing, because that's where they are now. Yeah. That's just the truth. Why would I sit here and waste my time talking to a liberal that has no political sway, no political influence, votes for a party that has no power, That's leveling down. That's refusing to evolve. No, I'm sorry to say, ladies and gentlemen, if there's anybody that needs to be confronted in the streets for being a cuck, it's people on the right. It's people on the right. It's just true. It's just true. So it's like, why would I go out? Like, why? What is the purpose? Just to get content? It was never about content for me. It was about winning. It was about evolving. It was about saving the country. So it's like, we've already defeated the left. We've already embarrassed the left. We've already destroyed their ideas. Their culture is deteriorating. We should be moving towards victory. We should be going up. Why are we still dealing with these clowns? They should be 100 yards behind us. We should be lapping them politically. It's like, oh, let's still go play these games with the liberals. Let's go own the libs. What are you talking about? We beat the libs. When are you going to grow up? When are you going to grow up? When are you going to evolve? When are you going to join us at the next level? Like we've moved up a couple levels. You're still down here at like level 2. We're on like level 4, level 5. Can you come? No? Okay. And they say, supporting BLM activists to own the Zionists is what this account here, Captive Dreamer, says. And it's ironic because you guys support Israel to own the leftists. Like I said, you guys haven't realized it yet, but you're two sides of the same coin. You are. You're literally two sides of the same coin. You haven't figured it out yet, but that's who you are. You are the woke right. On the woke coin, you are the woke right. You'll defend Israel to own the libs, to own the pro-Palestinians, whatever it is you call them. Just like they'll do whatever they do to own you. You guys are on the same coin. You guys are stuck. You guys are trapped. You're trapped in a cage, an intellectual, philosophical, political cage, and you can't get out. And we're trying to break you out. And you're just not ready yet. You'll be there. But you are literally two sides of the same coin. You just haven't figured it out. You're the woke right. The complement to the woke left. The opposite of the woke left, but on the same coin. It's you. It's you. And it's funny. It's a thankless bunch. And I see the people celebrating. It didn't last long. People celebrating the trade or the peace deal. They're already back to their hatred. They're already back for calling for more war. But they were excited at the peace treaty that was signed. And I see that these are the same people that are attacking the original MAGA. The people that were pounding the pavement in 2016. The people that were getting Trump across the finish line in 2016. The people that were dealing with the attacks and the hates and the insult in 2017. The people that fought against the steal in 2020. We laid the foundation. We caused the giant wave that you're now riding high on. We did that. And now you've kicked us out of the movement. The movement wouldn't even exist without us. The movement that you're now riding the wave of, the movement that you're now riding the momentum of, we created that in 2015 and 2016. We created that. You weren't even there. You weren't even on the map. But now that we created this wave and you're now riding high on it, you want to kick us out. You want any more evidence that you are the woke right? What did we see from the woke left? We saw the Black Lives Matter ads everywhere, right? We see the leftist racial identity propaganda everywhere. We see the Black Lives Matter propaganda. We see it the NFL, the NBA, right? We all saw it. That's woke left. Well, let's see. Who's getting all the ads now? What political social agenda is getting advertising campaigns during the NBA and the NFL, mainstream late night TV? Who's getting it now? Is it Black Lives Matter? No. It's a group called it's a group called Stand Up to Jewish Hate. It's the Black Lives Matter for the right. Still don't get it? You still don't see you're the woke right? And hey, just like people on the woke left really believe they're fighting racism, just like people on the woke left really believe that they're the bleeding heart liberals fighting these causes, you really believe in your cause too? You're really convinced you've got the right social cause. You've nailed it. You're the woke right. And now your ads run during the NBA, during the NFL, primetime TV. Your ads run just like the woke left ads run. Still don't think you're the woke, huh? Still haven't figured it out, huh? By the way, another ad that ran during NFL games this Sunday was a vaccine ad. And in the ad, they're pushing vaccines on pregnant women. It's disgusting. Go get your vaccine, pregnant women. It's crazy that we allow this. By the way, Iran opens Holy Virgin Mary train station in Tehran to honor country's Christian heritage. But the woke right told me that the Iranians hate Christians. How can it be true?
You're listening to the Owen Report on the Win Network.
On the cutting edge of news and analysis, the Owen Report with Owen Schroyer.
Well, remember, they tried to hide the truth about Joe Biden's health. We all remember it. And they attacked us when we were calling it out. It was plain for everybody to see. Well, Biden is reaching a new stage for his cancer treatment. Biden is now undergoing radiation therapy for his prostate cancer, his aggressive prostate cancer. With a Gleason score of 9, grade group 5, he's now receiving radiation therapy. So they covered up his cancer for months, maybe years. They covered up his deteriorating mental health for 4 years. They illegally signed official presidential documents with an auto pen. Now, President Trump claimed that there is an ongoing investigation, a very serious investigation into that. I'm not sure I'm convinced. I think he might be running cover for Pam Bondi. But he did say that. And you'd think that's a pretty serious crime to forge the president's signature, but they did it. They certainly did it. How many times did they do it? Really is the only question. They do know for sure Hunter Biden's pardon was signed by the auto pen. So, all right. I want to kind of close out on the foreign policy geopolitical issues here, but I want to go back to 1998. Because you hear this stuff and you realize some things just never change. But the media landscape changes, and that allows viewpoints and options to change. But it seems like the actual issues never change. This is 1998. Madeleine Albright at a town hall event. You'd think that this was from yesterday. But this was from the last millennia, 1998. Tell me if any of this sounds familiar.
What do you have to say about dictators of countries like Indonesia, who we sell weapons to, yet they are slaughtering people in East Timor? What do you have to say about Israel, who is slaughtering Palestinians, who impose martial law? What do you have to say about that? Those are our allies. Why do we sell weapons to these countries? Why do we support them? Why do we bomb Iraq when it commits similar problems?
There are various examples of things that are not right in this world, and the United States is trying. I really am surprised that people feel that it is necessary to defend the rights of Saddam Hussein, when what we ought to be thinking about is how to make sure that he does not use weapons of mass destruction.
Nothing has changed, folks. Nothing has changed. And the same power brokers and the same access brokers and the same influence brokers and the same money brokers have kept us on the same plantation, and nothing has changed. That is 1998 at a right-wing event, and a young conservative man says we're sick of the foreign wars, we're sick of the foreign aid, and Madeleine Albright says we have to do it because Saddam Hussein has weapons of mass destruction. They don't even change their lies. They don't even change their propaganda. And we, the people, never get what we want because of sellouts like Madeleine Albright. Never changes. That is 1998, folks. 1998. Can you believe that? Could have been yesterday. Incredible. All right. I think we can do phone lines. I think it's time to go to phone lines. So, I don't think we've had a single technical thing. We're working everything out. I'm going to have my producer, hey, extra ears on this. I'm switching some settings on the phone lines, some audio settings on the phone line. So let's have an extra ear to that as I open the phone line so you can let me know if anything goes wrong on the audio end. So phone lines are open, 747-255-60. It's line to line. I pick up. I ask your name and where you're from. You are on the air. So be ready to go because you are on the air when I pick up. All right. Before we take our first caller, I want to tell you about our friends over at My Patriot Food Supply, the trusted source for self-reliance and emergency preparedness. Now, you've probably heard of My Patriot Food Supply. You might even have some emergency food supplies from them. If you don't, now is the time to do it. But most importantly, now is the time to get your winter prep emergency kit while supplies last and while this sale is live. You see the sale on the screen, folks. Huge discount right now. Huge discount on the Winter Prep Special 3-month emergency food kit with $400 in free gifts. Now, I can give you all the different details, all the different food groups, all the different types of food and everything else that comes with this. But this is the one that you really want to hear about. This is cool. This is innovative. This is something that you probably don't have in your home. You might have the emergency food supplies, but you might not have The emergency space heater. What are you going to do if it's cold and you don't have electricity, you don't have a fireplace, you have no way to heat your home? You have no source for heat. What are you going to do? You're going to go to mypatriotfoodsupply.com/Owen is what you're going to do. You're going to get the winter prep special because with it, you're going to get your Vesda off-grid space heater. It's a space heater that doesn't use electricity. It runs on something called canned heat, which is an indoor safe fuel. So with a Vesda stashed in your closet, you can keep warm no matter what happens this winter. Not only can it keep you warm without electricity, it also doubles as a stove so you can boil water or cook food, which not only makes this Vesda space heater more dynamic, it's also something you're going to need in an emergency. And if you've never had to go through this, you learn real fast, folks. When we had the winter storm here in Austin a couple years back, and most of Austin, most of Travis County was without power for days, some people weeks. If you didn't have a source for food or heat, you were literally stranded in the cold at your house. It was a really bad situation. Well, the Vesda space heater, boil water, cook food, and an indoor safe electricity-free space heater. You cannot beat that. This deal is live right now, limited time, winter prep special, the 3-month emergency food kit with $400 in free gifts. Now, folks, go to mypatriotsupply.com/Owen and make sure you go to that link because that lets them know that we sent you there. They sponsor the show. They want to keep this show on the air and independent, so let them know we sent you. Go to mypatriotsupply.com/Owen. Get this winter prep special and the dynamic Vesda indoor space heater while this sale lasts. Thank you to our friends at My Patriot Food Supply. Visit mypatriotfoodsupply.com/Owen so that they know we sent you. Okay, to the phone lines we go. Producer Dominic, have a ear to the ground on this. All right, first caller of the day. What's your name? Where you from?
Ralph from Urbana, Ohio.
All right, Ralph, go ahead.
Oh. Hello?
Go ahead, Ralph. You're on the air.
Oh, all right. Yeah, I'm a long-time viewer of your previous boss of 31 years. I'm 68 years old. Back in the 60s when I was a kid, used to watch the news every night. Walter Cronkite would recount the battle of the day in Vietnam. Can you imagine being a kid in high school and your number is up in the selective service? And you know when you get ready to graduate, you're going to be sent halfway around the world and be a point man in some godforsaken jungle. Can you imagine the stress? All the kids, we're talking just the lower middle class kids and the poor kids. We're not talking the upper middle class and the ruling class. None of them ever went in the front of the line. It was always us. We fought those wars. And the same crap is going on now that it did back then. Nothing has changed. We thought when we voted for Trump that we had a peace president. Finally, somebody has said, no wars, done with these wars. And here we are. We're embroiled with Israel up to our eyeballs. We're in Ukraine. We have forces in Israel and around the world in military, so many military bases people don't realize. Not only the 758 military bases, but they've got these camps, these tripwire camps in all these countries, just waiting for something to happen, waiting to give it a reason to go in. And the same old excuses, weapons of mass destruction. Imagine how wealthy we would be today if we weren't spending trillions and trillions of dollars on fighting everybody else's wars. Today, we would be so wealthy, it would be health care for everyone, a post-high school education free for everyone. Think how wealthy this country would be if everybody had the opportunity to get the education that they wanted, instead of being pigeonholed and stuck in some damn factory that's owned by some foreigner like they are today. I'm 68 years old, and because of the prices that have increased in the last 3 years, they tell us, oh, year over year inflation is 10%. Bullshit. The dollar has lost 97% of its value in 3 years. All you have to do is look at what's going on with gold. It went over $4,100 an ounce. The dollar is in a free fall. This economy is collapsing. But the billionaires are having a hey old time.
Yeah.
A hey old time.
No, it's insulting when we get told by our leadership
Yes,
that it's insulting. They say it's a peacetime president. War continues. The economy's great. We're in the golden age. It's the worst economy that most Americans have ever experienced. It's just they're lying. There's no other way to put it. It's just they're just lying.
Thank you for taking my call. I've never been able to get through to your former employer. Even with speed dial, it would always ring busy. And I appreciate you taking my call.
Well, that's a passionate call. And it just, that's why I played that Madeleine Albright clip, because it never changes. I mean, that's why it's so frustrating. And I heard Trump speaking, I think it was today, and he was talking about the potential of the Middle East and the potential of the Gaza Strip. And I'm like, okay, that's nice. That's good. What about our potential? Like, what the hell, man? When does America get to become great again? When does America get the chance to realize its potential? Is there anybody that won't sell us out? Anybody? Is there anybody that's not blackmailed? Is there anybody that isn't a coward? And you already have the loyalist. Oh, Trump isn't those things. Trump's a politician now. He's the president now. Sometimes he has to be all of those things. Don't lie to me. Don't tell me the economy's great. It's not. Don't tell me it's a peacetime president. It's not. I'm not going to be lied to. I'm not going to be gaslit. I'll give Trump the credit. He got the deal done. He got the hostages back. Biden didn't do it. Netanyahu didn't do it. Trump did it. Netanyahu didn't want to do it. Netanyahu doesn't want peace. Do you really think they blew up the entire Gaza Strip? Do you really think that they flattened the entire civilization for no reason? No, Israel has its agenda. They already got Assad to fall. They're already shaving off land in multiple other countries. They just need Iran. They just need the regime change in Iran, and they just need to take all the land in the Gaza Strip. That's what they really want, and they're using America to do it. And Trump is willingly going along with it. Meanwhile, the American people are suffering more and more every day from the crime rates, the economy, the education system collapsing, the healthcare system collapsing, and then we get told how everything's great. And we get told how it's the golden age. But all it is victories for a foreign country. Those are the big victories. It's the biggest victory yet. Not for America. It's been going on since, as the caller said, it's been going on since the 60s. It might be hard to find a country whose political leadership has sold them out more than America's political leadership. Honestly, the only one I could look at would maybe be Israel. Netanyahu seems to have no problem using his people for cannon fodder either. Americans have been treated like sheep, slaves, cannon fodder. And slowly and surely our country is deteriorating and falling apart. And now we're finally noticing that. We're finally seeing that and saying, hey, okay, let's get back involved politically to try to stop it. And then you elect Trump and you're told it's all going to happen and then none of it happens. And then the people that actually want it to happen, they get attacked, they get pushed aside, and they get told, there's no room for you here. It's sad. It's not going to be this way forever. But it's going to be a struggle. And it's not going to happen in 4 years. You know, that was kind of the hope that we could maybe get it done in 4 years. It ain't happening now. No, not this 4 years. You know, they talk about the greatest comeback. They talk about Trump having the greatest political comeback of all time because they stole the election and, you know, all the drama and everything, but not really. I mean, aside from losing an election that was stolen from you and then winning an election in a landslide, there really is no political comeback. The original MAGA, the original identity, the original thrust of MAGA is gone. It's not there. The magic is gone. The base is fractured. So there really isn't a political comeback. The real political comeback, the real greatest political comeback would be Trump at some point in time in this second term would be Trump actually doing America First policy. That would be the real political comeback. If we were actually going to see the greatest political comeback of all time, it's not Trump winning a third election in a row. No. The real greatest political comeback of all time would be Trump actually getting DOJ to cut $1 trillion in waste, fraud, and abuse. Having forensic auditors trace every penny to find out who was laundering and stealing the money and having them arrested. Shutting down all these foreign bases, bringing the troops home, protecting our homeland, all the foreign aid, military aid, all of that, bringing all of that home, trillions of dollars annually. That would be the real political comeback. That would be the real greatest political comeback. Not what we have now. There is no comeback. There is no golden age. You're getting put into an AI surveillance state right now. And you're going to be lucky if you have $1 when this thing kicks off. So no, you want to see the greatest political comeback of all time, that would be actually putting America first. That would be actually saving America. That would actually be doing all the policy things, arresting the deep state, giving the country back to the people. That would be the greatest political comeback of all time. I'm sorry to say, but you actually are probably more closely observing the greatest political sellout of all time. This is closer to the greatest political sellout of all time than the greatest political comeback of all time, if you're willing to be honest about it, which most people in politics aren't, by the way. By the way. Next caller, what's your name, where you're from?
My name is Sean.
All right, Sean.
Rhode Island.
All right, Sean, go ahead.
Hey, I'm your Matt Christopher best friend.
Oh, yes.
Remember me?
Yeah, I had somebody give me a what was that book? It wasn't Goosebumps. There was another book. Somebody gave me another classic book from the 90s that I used to read. It was another like scary book series, but I can't remember it now. But yeah, we Matt Christopher and the sports books, Goosebumps. Oh man, I can't remember it now.
Hey, you remember Who Was Afraid of the Dark? They used to come on Nickelodeon back in the day.
Yeah, I think I've seen that pop up on my Paramount Amazon feed.
Yeah. I watched the first episode the other day. It's crazy. 80s stuff, 90s stuff is definitely the best. This trans crap they have on Netflix and all that crap nowadays.
Yeah, everything's got to be gay. Everything's got to be liberal. Yeah.
Trans. Anyway, you know what? I know you're online now, so I can kind of speak a little bit more freely. But you know what? Fuck Benjamin Netanyahu. That guy, I think he could be the Antichrist.
Yeah, he's not very popular in Israel either. You know, he got booed. Steve Witkoff, when he was delivering remarks in the initial phases of the peace deal, he brought up Netanyahu. He got booed. Netanyahu got booed in Israel.
Yeah, he's complete trash. Complete trash. I can't even believe we put up with this. How many times did he come sneak his way into the White House, over the past, 20, 25 years, and he never got what he wanted, but now all of a sudden he's getting it with Trump. I love Trump. I don't understand what is going on. It's unbelievable.
Well, this is to my best knowledge. So the knowledge that I have, this is what I explained earlier, is the reason why, because, phrase it however you want, but let's just say the reason why Israel gets prioritized first is because that's who gets access to Trump. I don't get access to Trump. The people that think like me, talk like me, they're gate kept out. I'm not getting invited. I'm not getting access to Trump. Nobody's going to give me access. They don't want me involved.
You never got a box of red hats like all these other idiots.
So what happens?
I remember you singing that one time. I never got my red hats, and you don't really need them or want them. But if anybody should be doing anybody a favor, Trump should be doing you a favor.
Well, I don't want it, but again, it's like there's that interpretation of like that's what I'm saying, like, oh, Trump owes me something, whatever. I don't look at it that way. That's not what this is about. I'm just trying to explain what's happening and why. Trump hears from 50 to 100 people every single day about Israel and about the hostages and about Hamas. And that's all that gets access. It's nonstop. That's what he gets. Nonstop. The people in the middle class living paycheck to paycheck, they don't get access to Trump. They might be able to sneak through the cracks during some other event, but they're not getting access. Trump isn't hearing about these issues on the daily basis. He's hearing about Israel all day. He's hearing about the hostages all day. So he's just responding to what he's getting. So he might actually kind of, in an innocent way, kind of live in his own la-la land. He's not getting this intel. He's not hearing from the people that have the problems. That's what he's getting. The Americans that have issues with the economy, the Americans that have issue with foreign policy, all these different things, the Americans that want Doge, whatever it is, all of these different issues, Trump is not hearing from them. That's why he's prioritized Israel. It's the only people getting access. He gets 50 to 100 calls a day on that issue. So that's what he gets. That's what he deals with. If he was hearing from other Americans, then he would do something. Here's a perfect example. I don't remember the series of events that led up to this, but when they started the mass deportations, you had some incidents, and somebody got a hold of Trump and said, Trump, we just had half of our factory deported, and I can't reach production demands. I can't reach my production protocols. You just had my thing deported. And then the next day, what did he say? He comes out and he says, okay, we need to hold the deportations back a little bit. We need to be more strategic because we've got production demands that can't be met at some of these warehouses and such. So when you can actually get through to Trump and voice your issue or your opinion and get him to understand it, he'll take action. He'll respond accordingly. But that's why he's gatekept to such a degree. That's why they only let people in for the causes that they want. He's totally boxed out, folks. This isn't a defense of Trump. I'm just telling you what's going on. That's why the priorities are as they are, because that's the only access that gets through. So, and then they surround him and they say, oh, everything's great, Trump. Gas prices are down a nickel today. And he comes out and he says, lowest gas prices ever. The average American is, low, high, it doesn't matter. They can barely afford the cost of living. But he's not hearing it. He's not hearing it. So, yeah, when he gets 50 to 100 calls every day about Israel and the hostages, that's what he does. That's what he responds to. That's why it becomes a priority. He's not hearing from the victims of the swatting that had guns pointed at him. The January 6th defendants, many of them that had their lives ruined, still trying to pick up the pieces. Many veterans not even getting their benefits. He's not hearing from them. He's not hearing from the average American that can't afford the cost of living. He's not hearing. They don't get through. He's been totally gate kept out. That's not an excuse for Trump. I'm just telling you that's what's going on. Just to maybe make a little sense of it. Doesn't make it any better. That's just what's going on. All right, one more sponsor to plug for today, and that is Blackout Coffee. You know that this is my coffee now, the official coffee of the Owen Report. You're going to be hearing a lot about our friends at Blackout Coffee. And if you're a big coffee drinker, guaranteed you're going to love their coffee. I'm already, unfortunately, kind of back to a coffee addiction. Anybody that has the coffee addiction, you know, it's just once you get it, you just can't. It's tough. And then you're drinking 4 or 5 cups a day. But when it's premium Blackout coffee, really can't complain. You really can't complain. So when I was doing taste testing, deciding who did I want to be the official coffee of the Owen Report, it was Blackout Coffee. It wasn't even a tough decision, to be honest. Now, my favorite, you can go to blackoutcoffee.com/Owen. Now, again, when you use coupon code Owen, you can get 20% off your first order. Blackoutcoffee.com/Owen. Use coupon code Owen. 20% off your first order. Might as well take advantage of that special. Give it a try. My favorite is the Pitch Black Espresso. I just love the boldness. It's just a real bold, flavorful coffee. That's my favorite. That's the one I'm drinking every day. The Brutal Awakening is good too. Again, I'm a dark roast guy, so these are the ones that I've opened. I opened the Brutal Awakening and I opened the Pitch Black Espresso because those are the ones that I love. But you know, the other thing I'm telling you that's so great, it's probably under, here it is, the instant coffee. This is such a game changer, man. The instant coffee is a game changer. You're on the go. You need to, you didn't make a pot, whatever. You don't have the Keurig ready, whatever the deal is. You're on the go. You need that cup. You need that hot cup of coffee, but you just don't have the time. All you need is a glass of hot water, a packet of your instant coffee, stir it up, good to go. And it's like you can't even tell the difference. You can't even tell the difference. So the 32 count, by the way, 32 count, this box, stuffed to the brim. A lot of time you get these products and there's like a bunch of air. You know what it's like, a bunch of air, half the box is air. Not with this. You open this thing and the packets almost like explode out of the box because they're packed in so tight. So you're going to be a big fan of the instant coffee for sure. I am as well. So be sure to go to blackoutcoffee.com/Owen. Use coupon code Owen for 20% off your first order. Hey, at least take advantage of the coupon code, folks. At least take advantage of that 20%. Give Blackout a shot. But I think once you drink their coffee, you're going to become a customer for life. So let them know we sent you. blackoutcoffee.com/Owen. All right. Nothing but calls the rest of the way. Oh, I do have some odds and ends on the news end actually here that I may get to in a second. Maybe I'll hit those now before we close out with calls. Well, Britney Spears, every time she decides to gyrate with a knife next to her neck, half nude, or sometimes fully nude, she tends to make headlines. And now her ex-husband is writing a book about her. I just say let Britney do whatever she wants. Why do people care so much? It's poor woman was controlled her entire life. Just let her go crazy. Just let her go crazy. They're all grifting now. Oh, I'm going to write a book and sell books off of her. Just let her do what she wants, all right? Leave Brittany alone. Next caller, what's your name? Where you from?
My name is Mason. I'm from Minnesota.
All right, Nathan, go ahead.
Just wanted to say I love the show, and I'd really love to see you get Joel Davis out of Australia on there, if at all possible. He kind of looks like a carbon copy of you.
Joel Davis.
Joel Davis out of Australia runs the NSN out there, if you've heard of that.
I don't know if I'm familiar with that. I don't think so.
Well, he's got a great stream on Rumble, does it weekly, Fridays. And like I said, it's kind of funny. They look like a carbon copy of you. So,
oh, lucky guy.
I suppose so. Well, it's pretty much all I had for you. So enjoy your day. Keep it going.
All right, I'll check that out. Thanks for the call. Next caller, what's your name? Where you're from?
I'm Brendan. I'm from the Bronx.
All right, Brendan, go ahead.
You know, something I wanted to run by you. It was a Friday, first quarter of this year. I've been trying to get a hold of you. Trump put a tweet out saying he found the most disturbing thing to date about Doge. And then he said he was going to announce it early next week. And then all of a sudden, Netanyahu announced he's going to go to the White House. It was never brought up again. The falling out with Musk happened shortly thereafter, and that was it. And when it was a tweet, it got a lot of attention. It went into the weekend, and it was never heard from again. So I don't know if you recall that, but I think there was really something to that, and it changed the trajectory of everything, really. Because even at the State of the Union address, he was talking about Doge and stuff. It's all gone now. None of it's there anymore.
Well, I remember that very specifically because this is when this is when but other people as well, some people were ahead of the curve, but this is when I started to realize, okay, things are going sideways. And if you remember, it was the fallout with Musk, and then it was the getting involved with Iran, but we won't strike, we're just supporting Israel, to then we did strike Iran. And it was like a month period where it was like the Musk fallout, the Doge fallout, the Netanyahu influence, the lying about the strikes in Israel, and now the entire base. I mean, really, MAGA, it's really dead. I mean, Trump barely wears the hats anymore. Nobody says "Make America Great Again" anymore. It's that killed it really. And so it's like, it might pop its head up every once in a while, and it's still there like a relic, but it's not. There's no real momentum. There's no real push there anymore. The magic is gone. And that was it. It was that month. You just laid out some of the details. But it was that month where me, again, somewhere a little before me, but me and then others kind of followed. And it was like, okay, this administration has gotten off course fast. And I think it was, I'm trying to remember who it was, but they said it best. It might have been Steve Bannon. And I'm trying to remember. I think it was Bannon. And it was like everything was going great. Momentum was high. Morale was high. And then it was like that quick, 2 to 3 to 4 month period where it just like everything just went off the tracks fast. And it was just like, what the heck? It was like we got blindsided and we've never been able to get back on course since.
100%. It just evaporated.
Yeah.
And then it was, which is kind of rarely mentioned. Musk sent that tweet out saying Trump is in the Epstein files, and all of it, and MAGA disappeared. That was the end of MAGA.
I guess. I mean, that was like the cannonball ripping through the hull of the ship. Yeah.
Yeah, that's it. I hate to laugh. What can I say?
Yeah.
I'm glad you remember that. Thanks, Owen. I'm a big listener. I'm going to keep listening. Thanks, man.
Thank you. And look, you're going to have people that just don't want to admit that. for whatever the reason. They don't want to come to terms with that. But that's what happened. And it's pretty easy. What did they say about the Epstein files then? And what are they saying about them now? You know? It's very, very simple measuring stick there. Very simple. Alec Baldwin is in the news again. This guy seems to have issues. Alec Baldwin crashes Range Rover into a tree in the Hamptons. Now, he's blaming a garbage truck. He says it's the biggest garbage truck of all time, and this garbage truck came out of nowhere. And then he hit the biggest tree of all time. He said this garbage truck came out of nowhere. It's the biggest garbage truck ever. And then this giant tree ran into my car. Nobody got hurt this time. Thank goodness. Nobody died. Nobody took a bullet. But Alec Baldwin driving cars into trees now. It's actually his wife's car. Stephen Baldwin was in there too. Nobody was hurt. Next caller, what's your name? Where you from?
And then he hit the biggest tree of all time.
Hey, Owen.
Yes, what's your name? Where you from?
Can you hear me? Hey, this is a regular caller. This is Don from Orange County.
All right, Don, what's up?
Hey, I don't want to rant today, man. I know I give you the business with my rants, but that's not going to happen today. I just have two questions. But first, I want to touch base on the Magic. It is gone. God, excuse me. It is gone because I was one of those guys that walked out on Trump at the Charlie Kirk thing, and there was quite a few when he started talking. Nobody wants to hear that shit anymore. And also, on a lighter note, do you feel it like I do? The Great Reset's going to happen real soon. I mean, they're the history. Excuse me. History doesn't lie. I mean, when the population gets too smart and you can no longer bullshit anybody anymore with your regular crap, they fix it. They give a new population, you know, and who knows, man? They probably have a whole new population they're breeding underground, you know, going to release them after it's all over. You know,
now that's a little. Now you're getting a little off the map for me.
Well, the Cabbage Patch Kids. I mean, you know, the Cabbage Patch Baby. You know, the Cabbage Patch train kids and all that stuff. I mean, research on that, man. It'll open your eyes on all that. Plus, it just, like I said, it makes perfect sense because we aren't falling for their stuff anymore. So, what could they possibly keep spinning up on us other than just the more bullshit? I don't even want to vote anymore.
No.
So, and my last question: Do you still play hoop?
I do, yeah.
Are you any good?
You wouldn't believe me if I told you.
Of course I would. Who would bullshit about that? I mean, if you could either play or not. I mean, are you good?
I keep up. When we play, there's a couple guys that played in China, a couple guys that played in college that I play with. I'm not as good as them. I can keep up. Like I can be out there and not embarrass myself. But then when you play with some of the lesser talent that maybe didn't play after high school, then I look a lot better, let's say.
Well, yeah, you kind of play down to it. So I always, you know, I used to be really good. I used to, you know, I'm 6'3", I'm 260 pounds now, though. I still hit the gym, but I can't play anymore, man. My knees are gone. But I used to play during the off season. A lot of the pros and college guys would go to Laguna Beach and play the half court over there, and Venice Beach, the full courts over there. And
well, Venice's outdoor courts, those are pretty legendary.
Yeah. If you ain't got no game, man, you ain't gonna play.
I think those were featured in. I think those were featured in NBA Street 2 back in the day. I think they had
and all the
Venice
N1 days. The N1 days, remember the N1 tournaments?
The mixtape.
They played
tour.
a lot out there. Yeah, and you see the professor out there. He's out there a lot.
Oh, he's still out there. He's got to be like 50 now.
Yeah, and he's still breaking ankles, man.
Nice.
He is. Yeah, I wish I could still play, man, but you know, I can't. And I think when Kobe retired, it was perfect timing for me because I couldn't watch the Lakers anymore after that. And we're talking 47-year fan. And but I just wanted to make light of it, make a little light because I know times are heavy right now. The world's going mad, and I don't want to rant on about what I think and stuff like that. So I just want to ask if you still run hoop, man. I mean, it's good therapy.
It is. It's great exercise. Great way to let some steam off, as you say, therapy. But yeah, you love it. You love it if you can still do it. You want to do it as long as possible, and then you play golf, I guess, is how that goes. To respond to what you opened with, though, I think there's two. You mentioned the awareness factor, and so the corrupt establishment, the powers that be, however you want to phrase it, whenever there's that awareness factor, they always do something to try to tamper that and keep that down. The other signs that I think would have the two other phenomenons that are going on that have me thinking, okay, next phase is upon us here. Now that could mean 2 years, 4 years, I don't know, but I don't know if you've been seeing this, but there's this ongoing push about aliens and UFOs. I've never seen it like this before. I've never seen, and it's like the establishment. It's like the government. It's not a TV show. It's not your niche, paranormal audience. It's like our politicians. It's coming from D.C. It's mainstream social media now. So that makes me think, okay, there's going to be some weird space angle. They're claiming there's a comet, and then they say, oh, maybe it's a spaceship. And now there's, declassified documents coming out that Eisenhower used to meet with aliens. And so I don't know. So that's like, okay, if they're pushing this whole new arena, if they're trying to take us into a whole new arena, then that's a sign something big is coming. The other one, and this has been going on really since 2020, it continues to this day. It just happened in the stock market in the last 4 days. The transfer of wealth. The rich have gotten richer in the last 5 years, probably more than any time in modern human history. The transfer of wealth, definitely in America, but worldwide. But in America, the transfer of wealth from the middle class to the uber rich, I mean, it's like, it's by design. And COVID was obvious. The transfer of wealth during COVID was obvious and measurable. Now they're doing it with these giant pump and dumps. And I've been talking about the insider trading. And I said when the markets crashed last week and there was all the panic, that was all done intentionally to drive prices down so that the whales could buy low and pump the market. And now where are we at today? The market is back up again. Huge. Market was up huge today. If you were active today, if you were day trading today and you were paying attention, you did well today. Congratulations, you did well. Hope you were. But that's what it is. They're sitting here, the whales are creating waves, and they are pumping and dumping. And I haven't been involved in the markets and following the markets that much, so maybe this has been going on for a long time, but the numbers are bigger than ever. That is true. And you can just watch it happen. And it just happened the last 4 days. And if you go back and you listen to what I said last week, what did I say? I said they're crashing the market, they're dumping right now, and then they're going to pump, and then they're going to dump again. So it'll probably happen again this week. I don't know if it'll happen tomorrow. Today was such a massive pump, they might just dump it tomorrow. But that's what's been going on really since Trump got into office, folks. It's been whale pump and dump season. That's what it's been. And if you know it and you see the signs and you know how to ride the waves, then you can do well. But most people have no idea. They're just sitting there. They see the stock go down, they sell. And then it goes up, they buy. And for them, it might just be a couple $1,000. But for the whales, it's a couple thousand people and a couple $1,000. And they're just entirely in control of where the numbers are at. So the awareness levels of the people, this push for aliens and UFOs, and the giant transfer of wealth, maybe the building war, I don't know. But all of these things point to, it feels like there's something else on the other side, is what it feels like. And I think that's kind of what the caller was saying. But you're not the only one that feels that way. You're not the only one seeing that. All right, a couple odds and ends here before we sign off for the day. Once secret Emperor Commodus passage to Rome Colosseum opens to public for the first time ever. The passage was named after Emperor Commodus, who lived between 180 and 192 AD when it was initially discovered in the 1810s. And now the public can walk through this passage at the Roman Colosseum for the first time ever. So that's kind of cool. And that's the one scene where he's walking into that tunnel in Gladiator. So now you can reenact that if you so desire. The World Cup is coming to the United States of America, and Cape Verde will be participating in the World Cup for the first time in the island's history. Home to about 500,000 people, it is the second smallest nation to ever qualify for a World Cup since Iceland in 2018. They will come out of the African qualification. Cape Verde, their first appearance ever in the World Cup upcoming. By the way, if you're a baseball fan, the Seattle Mariners up 2-0 on Toronto. They went to Toronto, won the first two games on the road. They go home, I believe. Game 3 is tomorrow night. Seattle Mariners, the only baseball franchise that has never been to a World Series. All the greats that have gone through Seattle, they still hold the record, the franchise, for the most wins ever in a regular season. Never been to a World Series. Kind of makes me want to pull for Seattle. Plus, I really like their logo. So I'm going to be a Mariners fan until they lose, and then I'll choose a different team. If they don't make it to the World Series, I'll choose a different team because I'm just riding the winners right now. So I was with the Yankees and they lost, so I abandoned them. I'm not interested in them. Now I like the Mariners. First time, maybe for the Mariners to be in the World Series. That'd be fun for Seattle. City that endures a lot, a lot of pain, a lot of liberalism. That'd be nice for them. Be the biggest event in Seattle since, what was that, like WrestleMania 17? They still play at the same stadium. That'd be the biggest event since WrestleMania in Seattle. So you kind of want to pull for the Mariners, but that's just me. Because then it's going to be the Dodgers again. It's like we're sick of the Dodgers. The Dodgers are always there. They buy the best players in the game. We're sick of it. We want to see somebody new. That's what we want to see. All right. We are about to sign off for the day. Want to let you know, though, if you like the shirt, this is the Win Network Founders Polo. The Win Network Founders Polo. This is going to be available till the end of the year. And we're going to come out with a new one for 2026. But if you do like this polo that I wear quite frequently here on the show, go to owenschroyer.store, owenschroyer.store, and get the Win Network Founders Polo at Owen Schroyer, that store. That will be available until the end of the year. And then we will come up with a new design. I don't know. We'll probably stick the same Owen Report up there for a while. I don't know if we're going to change that one. We might add a different color. But the Win Founders Polo will be gone starting in 2016. So if you like this one, go ahead and get it over there at owenschroyer.store. Big shout out to our friends at blackoutcoffee.com/Owen, mypatriotsupply.com/Owen as well. Thanks to everybody for tuning in. Appreciate everybody tuning in yesterday, too. We did good numbers on the town hall with Mark Lynch running against Lindsey Graham. We may do some more of that. We may do some more of that as we get into the midterms. There's already some interest to do more of that. The problem is it's just the travel is such a pain. It's not impossible, but it does make it hard to do the daily show here in studio when you're traveling for events like that. But if we can make it all happen, we will. So we may see more of that. It was a success yesterday. I appreciate everybody tuning in and sharing that. Appreciate everybody tuning in and sharing this one as well. That's going to do it for the Owen Report today. We will do it same time